I welcome you all for the wonderful program.
Prayer is something that you may engage in more than you think. It can give us courage and hope to face life challenges. I now request you all to rise for the prayer song.
Thank you all. To welcome is to show honor. To welcome is to establish integrity. With this quote, I would like to invite Dr. P. Swaruparani Ma'am, Professor, School of Commerce, to welcome the gathering.
Honorable Chief Guest, respected Principal, Deans, fellow members, faculties, scholars, and dear students from various colleges, a good morning to all. I am profoundly delighted to take an opportunity to welcome the gathering on behalf of KPRS for this international conclave on tools and strategies for emerging business conducted by the School of Commerce. KPRS not only focuses on curriculum-based education to the students, but also concentrate to enhance and enrich knowledge of faculties and students. As a part of that, we are conducting this international conclave. It's my duty and privilege to welcome you all as a coordinator of this international conclave. I deem it a privilege to welcome our Honorable Chairman, Dr. K.P. Ramasamy, under whose able guidance and motivation we are flourishing. It's my pleasure to invite our Secretary for his moral support. It's a moment of extreme pleasure to welcome our beloved Principal, Dr. S. Baluswamy, whose action inspires us to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more. You are our leader, sir. We are very happy to welcome you, sir. It is an instant of credible privilege and honor for me to welcome our Chief Guest, Mr. Andy Nalapan, Vice President, Chief Technology Officer, and Head of Software Business Operations, Broadcom Software, the University of Texas at Paso San Jose, California, United States, who is the masterpiece of software. We are grateful to him for accepting our invitation and sharing valuable time with us, sir. I welcome you, sir. We are honored to have you with us, sir. It's our great pleasure to welcome Dr. M. Tenguri, Professor in Finance, Department of Management Studies, IIT Madras, Chennai, India. Tenguri ma'am does not require an introduction, as is a well-recognized people in Tamil Nadu. He is known for wonderful administration and achievements of our institution. Welcome you, ma'am. We are very happy to have you with us today. And a very warm, hearty welcome to Dr. Bhavna Jain, Assistant Professor, Amrita School of Business, Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham, Coimbatore. As he has molded the life of students and served people with her kindness. I welcome you, ma'am. Then I would like to welcome our Saravana Pandian sir, Principal in being. I welcome you, sir. I would like to express my sincere appreciation to Dr. Kruda Devi, Dean School of Commerce, who's generously helped us to make this event come together to become a successful one. I welcome you, ma'am. I extend my warm welcome to one of our international conclave coordinator, Dr. Kannamai ma'am, who shared her views and opinions to organize the event. I especially want to welcome all deans, heads, fellow members, faculties, research scholars, students from KPOKS, and participants from various colleges and universities. I welcome you all. Once again, I give a very warm welcome to one and all present here. I hope you have an engaging and enriching session ahead. Thank you for giving this opportunity. We welcome the gathering. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. To be inspired is great, but to be an inspiration is an honor. Now I request Dr. S. Balasamy, sir, Principal of KPR CAS, to give the presidential address.
Good evening. Good morning. Good morning to one and all assembled here and joined through Zoom also on behalf of KPR management, on behalf of KPR CAS. Good morning to all. It's a great time to discuss about the tools and strategies for emerging business. In this occasion, I would like to congratulate the School of Commerce to take a nice initiative in the right time. International Conclave on Tools and Strategies for Emerging Business. Before that, once again, I would like to welcome the respected Chief Guest of today's an International Conclave, Mr. Andy Nallatan, Vice President from US, and Dr. M. Tenmuliman from IIT Madras, Madam Farmer NISM Director also, because luckily the KPR CAS is directly linking with the National Institute of Securities Market. Our former director Sandeep Ghosh till now is in connection and gave many inputs for our young minds in this line. I extend my warm welcome to Dr. Tain Molina and Dr. Bhavana Jain, Assistant Professor, Amrita School of Business, and the School of Commerce Dean, Dr. K. Kumuda Devi ma'am, and this program coordinators, Dr. P. Sorubarani, Associate Professor, and Dr. B. Kannamai, Associate Professor from School of Commerce, our respected Principal, Dr. Saravana Jain from B, and all our faculty members and students friends. I would like to congratulate for each and every one of you to take the nice initiative to present the component in the right time. So it's a good thing, it's a good exercise for us also. Normally, the students may join the UG program, they may pursue their PG any one of the reputed institutions. Sometimes they may go for their employment opportunities. Very, very meager percentage they are going for taking the business. But this is a redesigning and a rethinking about to take up business is also in another career for us, because nowadays central government is also taking many initiatives. I think 1 week before our Prime Minister, he spoke to all the entrepreneurs, those who are directly connected to the education institutions, because they already targeted for our export components. So because everywhere we want to take up a business. Business is one of the great initiative for our individual growth and family growth and nation growth, and as well as for our GDP growth also. It's a great initiative. That's why the PM itself is directly connecting to all the entrepreneurs, those who are doing good and those who are directly connected to the institutions also. That's why we are giving much more importance to our MSME. So through even the School of Commerce, the last semester they signed an MOU with MSME also for the well connecting with all the business, because our central government and state government, they are giving many schemes and many subsidies for the growth and development of the individuals. In this occasion, I request all our students, please you can go through the MSME websites wherever you are eligible. You can try to apply as an individual, as a group, you can apply. According to our observation and statistical information, this pandemic give a very good lesson for each and every individual and the society too. Many people after return back from their international employment opportunities, they are starting and setting a new business in their own enterprises itself. For women entrepreneurs, after completing a degree, any business you are taking, the work they may be 1 crore means government is giving 35% subsidy to the individual, 35 lakhs. Moreover, for repayment of interest concession is there. So likewise, there are many schemes. Each product, one particular board is there. You are in Ooty, you are residing in Kunnur, you can apply for a coffee or tea related project business. You may have a concession, or maybe 2-3 members join together, 5 members join together, because that is the idea. So similarly, you are an fire means the fire board is there to take care about, train you to give the amount, and they are giving concession. You want to utilize in a very perfect manner. Then another component, the National Entrepreneurial Network, that is also another big network is there. Confederation of Indian Industry, it's situated in Coimbatore also in their branch. So is the right time for all our students, friends, you can think about the business, not only for this entrepreneurial aspects, other business ventures also. In capital market, it's touched 55,000 points. It's a new height in our entire history. So we in the year 1979, the Sensex started with 100 points. Now it's touched 55,000 points. You can think about how it was. No one business give this much amount of capital growth for our money. 1979, the Sensex is 100 points. Now the last week it's reached 55,000. So how many years? Just in 40 years, 1979 means just 40 years of time. How it possible with 100 rupees converted into 55,000 rupees? So it's another Coimbatore is an entrepreneurial cultural environment where the business segments is there. Our own management itself, they are very strong in their business. They are leading all over India and the international markets also in the segment of textile and garments. Now the KPR in the third position in all over India. So you are having example in our own premises itself. So only thing is we want to think you may be a valuable person for yourself and your family members and the society and the government also, because the future India purely in the hands of your members. So you can take in a positive manner. I think all the three resource persons are stalwart persons in their field. You can utilize the entire conclave in a healthier manner. You can utilize and integrate your subjects, and you can make use of your own personal life and your experience. So this is our small expectation from our side also. And once again, I would like to congratulate the School of Commerce taking a nice initiative to brought this good idea in the minds of youngsters and teachers. And once again, I would like to wish all the members to have this program, an excellent program, to have a good day also. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Felicitate the initiator. Initiative is the intention that persists in a person by cause. With this quote, I request Dr. K. Kumaladevi Ma'am, Dean School of Commerce, to felicitate the gathering.
Most respected Principal of our college, Dr. Balasani sir, Principal for Women Education Wing, Dr. Sarvabhanan sir, Coordinator of this event, Dr. Shorubrani Madam and Dr. Kannamai, eminent resource person of these conclave today for 3 resource person, Mr. Antti Allapan from USA, and Madam Kainmuli from IIT Madras, and Madam Bhavna from Amrita University, my own faculty friends, dear children. I think all academicians joining through
Zoom for attending our conclave from across the country. Warm morning, 100% over here. Our School of Commerce, with the blessings of God of nature, with the School of Commerce initiating this conclave on this title called Tools and Strategy for Emerging Business. We are the right department, we are the right person to have addressed this concept. Why means the entire world highly affected by corona. This is a dangerous virus, individual to industry, affected huge. This is a scenario, how to we make our business further. That is called extension of business or emerging of our already business, whatever may be. So already we are strong in our own fields. Why we are organizing these things? For the children sitting over there, you are a future entrepreneur. Or your parents may doing business. One way or another, you people affected a lot. So finally, we have, percentage of effect because of this corona is 100%. One in the form of child, or in the form of finance, or in the form of shortage of labor, whatever may be. This is a conclave will address all these issues. All three stalwarts, actually what our principals are rightly pointed out, the real stalwarts in the field of finance. Andy Nalapan sir have a wide knowledge on family finance, especially he's in the US. He know very well what the difference between developed country and developing country. So that kind of difference we understand properly. So we are developing in the position how we are making our economy more stronger. This is a point of view. We are invite all three resource persons today to their sharing their ideas, thoughts to making our country's next level. Especially this is for not only emerging business, it's for emerging of governance, emerging of all our corporate culture, whatever may be. In this regard, as an Dean School of Commerce, I'm very much happy. At the same time, I record my gratitude to all three resource persons of this day for accepting our invitation. Very humbly, they are also respond our invitation. They are present over this technology help, this connect through webinar. So, India KPFS, we are very happy of your presence on this great morning. Good morning, sir. Thank you. Thing is that next, Madam IIT Professor Tenmoli ma'am. She's a familiar person in our part. Madam also so busy in this schedule. Even though Madam accepted for the session 2, she will sharing their ideas and everything. And likewise, Madam Bhavana also addressing the issue in the session 3. Why these have 3 eminent persons have means everybody have equally knowledgeable, talentable. But the way of thought, way of expression may differ. This is situation, this is juncture. Commerce is a platform to accepting all valuable ideas, whoever may have this thought and thinking that the way we are organizing the program. So once again, I welcome all participants directly or indirectly joining with our conference today. Thank you for your join. At the same time, I should congratulate my team. Wherever program, whenever you're organizing, only with the help of teamwork. So with your without your teamwork, definitely nothing will happen. That damn sure I'm recorded here. So dear friends, this is our School of Commerce, a family. So that mindset, we taking all members of welfare is more important. This is a professional style we are doing our activities and everything. Finally, our output may be an approach and attitude. So with good approach, good attitude will lead the department again further. So I hope your support and everything is extended in future also. This is the right time I announce the next program also. This is a practice I followed for past 2 programs. Last program is successfully conducted by help of our Kartika ma'am, FDP Faculty Development Program. That time I announced this is the day we are conducting conclave. Principal sir, for your kind information, such a way we are organized today also. This is the right forum. I announce next conference which organized by the help of Dr. Shanti, Department of Commerce. That's international national conference. Title everything I will announce very soon. This is a culture we are implementing in the department. This is a roadmap of our SOC. All things are happened because only blessings of God Almighty. I so believe the God Almighty will help us have further development in all our personal and official, professional, whatever may be. So in this scenario, I am extremely happy to congratulate all my teachers friends for their contribution to make this conclave in grand manner. Thank you all.
Thank you, ma'am. I would like to invite Dr. Sri Kala, ma'am, professor, to introduce Dr. Andy Nalappan, sir.
don't worry about being successful, but work towards being significant, and the success will naturally follow. Winfrey. Good morning, one and all present here. I professionally overjoyed to take opportunity to introduce our chief guest of the day, Mr. Andy Nallappan, Vice President, Chief Technology Officer, and Head of Software Business Operation Broadcom Software, California, United States. Career intake our system is never clear-cut. Sometimes it is all about chasing opportunity along the way. He is responsible for the SAS platform engineering, services, operation, DevOps platform, and technology solution enabling software business operation. He has held a variety of key leadership positions overseeing enterprise application, enterprise infrastructure, data center management, customer support platform, fab application, and others. Mr. Andy is known for his successful M&A integration and for drastically improving the financial performance of the SAS offerings. He has seamlessly deployed and scaled intelligent automation solutions while enhancing the customer, supplier, and workforce experience through empowerment and simplification. More than 35 years of experience in the area of information technology, software development, SAS, M&A, and program management from Fortune 500 companies, public sectors, and privately owned companies. Experience in building IT from the greenfield of size it tried to go public. Many years of experience in outsourcing applications and infrastructure and managing them to extract value for the money. Lead multiple outsourcing initiatives to get cost saving with better SLA and higher business value. Capable of crafting best business solution with lowest total cost of ownership, proven record of success with business and technology transformation in SAS platform transformation. He is specialist in budgeting, planning, and forecasting, Oracle ERP upgrades, business process and IT operation automation, managing global team and multiple vendors in a highly outsourced environment. Data center consolidation and co-location, site consolidation, negotiation skill with vendors and business partners. Providing cost-effective IT services, transforming IT to SAS cloud-based solution and service employee retention. He is having more than 35 years of experience in the field of teaching, manager, and vice president in many companies. He completed his BE in Coimbatore Institute of Technology, affiliated University of Madras, and MS in University of Texas. He is also board member in Jain companies like Google Cloud Customer Advisory Board, Nutanix Executive Advisory Board, and HCL Customer Advisory Board member from 2018 onwards. It was my pleasure for knowing you and introduce you to everyone. Your success inspire and motivate us, sir. Thank you for joining here for us. Thank you, Ananda.
Thank you, ma'am. Surround
Thank you for the, sorry, go ahead.
Surround yourself with high achievers that challenges you to the excellence. I would like to invite Mr. Andy Nallappan, sir, to share key characteristics of a successful business and career. Kindly, sir.
Okay, good morning to all of you. Hopefully you all can hear me well. Thank you for that warm introduction. I'm very happy to be part of this international conclave on the emerging businesses there at your college there. It's my pleasure. And as you heard that now, I've done my bachelor's in engineering in Coimbatore. So I'm very happy to be joining all of you virtually to the same city I got educated. Without further ado, I want to take the next 45 minutes of now just sharing my experience with all of you there. So the topic I've chosen is the key characteristics of a successful business and career. So both what it needs for a business to be successful and what it needs to have a successful career for each one of you there. And I just want to make sure that I have a disclaimer. So this is in a world we all live in internet. So a lot of the images I'll be sharing and the quotes all taken from the internet. Even students thank the Google, and the Wikipedia during their graduation speech. So I also should thank them, for giving a lot of resources to prepare for this speech. And so again, some of the content is not my own, and I give all the credits to the original owner, whoever it is there. Okay, I put together the relevant informations from various resources to help convey the message there. Okay. Sorry. Okay. And as I told you there today, I will cover two topics. One is the success in business. I'll try to tell you what the definition of a success in a business and what are the characteristics. Then the same thing I'll give you that on the career side, and we'll maybe spend about 15 minutes or so, 10 to 15 minutes to have an interactive Q&A. Okay, you're all up if you're up for that. Oh, this is okay. I'm having a problem with my. Hang on a minute. Okay, so why I chose this topic, I know this is very apt for the your international conclave topic there, but why I chose personally it is that the definition have changed. We live in a time, this is the COVID time, and we live in them, and we live with the millennials, and we live in 21st centuries there. The definition of success have changed. The people what they used to call success about 20 years back is not considered as a success anymore. Same thing, the definition of a business, a definition of a career has changed, and that's what I want to share with you. And same thing, the markets have changed. The landscape of the market. With the internet, you have access to the entire world. You can sell to anybody and everybody there. It wasn't possible about 15 years back, 10 years back. And the consumers have changed. They're much more knowledgeable now, and everyone is a consumer now. Before you were targeting a particular segment, now it is wide open there. So now for these markets have to change. So the economic drivers have changed because now consumers affordability now you can see people can afford cars, which they couldn't afford before. People can afford computers, which they couldn't even think of it. They had to go to work or a college to see a computer there. So the affordability, accessibility to the informations now have drastically changed. The possibilities is enormous there. You see what's happening in the world. People are now the technology is sending people to the space. The common man can go to the space now, which was never thought of. In 1964, when we sent the astronaut to the moon, we thought that that was the biggest thing. But now we're sending a common man to the space there. That's how things are, the possibilities have changed. The demand, the millennials are very demanding, impatient. So we are dealing with a different kind of consumers who doesn't want to wait, who wants to have an instantaneous gratification. And obviously that now COVID-19 has opened up a lot more possibilities. So with that, we all have to change. The business has to change. The individual have to change. Disruptions are happening everywhere. The very popular brands and well-known companies are disappearing. There is a statistics that the companies, there's about 25% of the companies, what you see today will not be there in the next 5 to 10 years older. So that's what the disruptions are very strong. So we have to prepare the workforce for the current market and business conditions there. We have to future-proof the business as well as the workforce. Which is like you heard in the earlier speeches that is beyond academics. It's not just enough to learn what you learn from the schools. It is a lot more than that. We will touch some of those here. And let's go into the part one, success in business. Okay. And I'm just going to go through an exercise. It's a simple exercise, and I'm going to go through 10 companies very quickly. I'm going to ask you this question: what do these companies sell? I'm sure I may not be able to hear your answer back, but it's okay. You just say it yourself and see what the answer is there. Then we'll go through after the 10 and see, what is there something unique about these companies? There's the one common thing about all these companies over there. Let's go through this. See, you all know the company called Apple. What does Apple sell? Okay, and Obviously, they sell now iPhones, now watches and iPads, right? No, one would say that expensive and smart mobile devices. That's what you will say if it, no, if you ask anyone there. Okay, so let's keep going. What does the Tesla sell? Tesla is in a car automobile car company over there. They sell what? They sell expensive electric cars. That's what anyone will say if you ask in the US. They'll say they're on expensive electric cars there. Okay, so now let's say what does Amazon sell? You all know the Amazon. What they sell? If you ask there, they all will sell. Okay, they sell any commodities. They deliver it there. They sell music. So household items, movies, smart devices, and books. That's what people will say. So what does Uber and Ola sell? If you ask there, they'll say they are selling, taxi service by connecting the car drivers to the passengers, right? That's what you will say the answers. So what does Airbnb sell? Airbnb is a company, which sells accommodations there. So you will say that they sell accommodations by connecting the landlords to the tenants. House, basically more than landlords, any house owners to the tenants. So what does Zomato or Grubhub, very well, what do they sell? If you ask them there, they sell food delivery by connecting the restaurants to the diners. Okay. Say, what does Google sell? Now, Google sell very simple search, the search, collaboration tools, and map services, etc. So what does Facebook sell? If you ask there, Facebook, they sell basically a platform to connect with the friends and family, and boast to yourself and gossip, things like that, right? So what does Robinhood sell? If you don't know Robinhood, it's in a trading application there. So it's basically it's online trading app to invest in stocks and options using funds and cryptocurrency there. Last but not least, we all use Zoom. What does Zoom sell? If we ask the question, people will say it's selling video conferencing solutions. So I went through many companies, different industries, but they all sell different things. But there's one thing in common. So let's see, what do these 10 companies really sell? Do they sell what I told so far? Do they sell the cars and devices, this connecting people? Is that what they sell? Do they sell the products they really make? Because remember, 20 years back, companies sell the products they make. That has changed. These companies don't sell what I told you. When the CEOs and founders of these companies, when they started the companies, they did not have that in the main purpose of starting the company over there. So they really sell only one thing. I'm sure you would have figured out by now that. What is that one thing they really sell? They really sell amazing experience, awesome experience. That's what they sell. They use all those products to sell that awesome experience. Let's talk about that. What is the experience? That is the new commodity. We live in a time where the new emerging businesses don't sell products, don't sell commodities, but they use those to sell experience. What is experience? It has to go beyond the function of a product, function of the product they make. And they have to compete on a memorable and enjoyable encounter, which is an experience for a duration there. That is what they all do it. So for that, they have to design, when they design a product, they should be in their mind, this experience should be the center of the design more than the product itself. And they have to make sure that experience is worth for the customers to pay a premium. That's an important thing. You're in a business, so you want to make sure that you can make money out of this. So they have to design memorable experiences there. And then they have to stage that experience. Because you're not kind of a selling product, you can sell it. This is, you have to stage it. You have to stage the experience that can sell this one there, that can earn money there. So let's look back at these companies there. All these companies, I went through it. What does really Apple sell? Apple sell the awesome device experience. It is very expensive. But look at that. The device was designed by touch. You know why? Touch is the native thing for human. When they are born, they know how to touch. Nobody teaches how to touch. But people have to teach how to write, how to type, but nobody has to touch. That intuitive there. That's why that is called device with no manuals. And now they're expensive. Now I got somebody an Apple Watch. Now they didn't want to own the watch for like last 5 years because they're expensive. When I got them, what they remembered, not the price. They said, I can see my heartbeats. I can see my oxygen levels. I can see my footsteps. I can see who's calling me without getting to the phone. That experience. Tesla's not selling expensive electric cars. They're selling awesome driving experience. Driving in the traffic, very well, whether in Chennai or Coimbatore or anywhere there, it is awful experience. You hate to be on the traffic. They've changed that. They made that enjoy the driving in the traffic because you don't need to drive it. It's a self-driving. You can enjoy. The music is awesome. You just enjoy the crowd, no stress. So that's what they sell. Amazon, they don't sell the commodities. They sell amazing shopping experience. You don't need to go to the malls. You can just be at your living room and you can do bargaining, you can do comparisons, you can buy and you can return with no questions asked. Buying is really at your fingertips. Anything and everything you can afford and you want it. And movies, remember that. Now, I used to go to the movie in Coimbatore. Now I need to go and stand in line for 2 hours, 3 hours, or half a day there to watch movies there. And back in those days. Now there is no house full. You can watch anytime. No, you want it. That's the experience with the great quality of streaming. Netflix and Amazon, they do it. Uber, they give amazing riding experience. You can ride in a good car with a great conversation. When you ride in an auto, what the experience is? First, you start with the haggling the price. Then you are sitting on the auto. You always look at the meter, seeing that it's going up, it's going up, it's going up. You're stressed out. Then when you get off, you fight with him there. He's asking more money there. But when you ride in an Uber, you never talk about the cost. The driver doesn't know how much you pay, and you even forgot how much you're going to pay for it, even though you might be paying a lot more than the auto guy there. But they make you to forget that cost, instead to enjoy the experience, having a clean car, sometimes even better than your own car over there. Airbnb. A lot of the great hotels used to say, when you go and stay there, home away from home. But Airbnb says you never left home. That give you that experience of you never left home. It is better than your own home. You're not in a hotels, sharing with many people, and people are smoking and hearing noises. There, no, it is like you have a kitchen, you have bathrooms, you have washing, dining, everything there. It's like in the same experience. You never left home experience. Zomato. You want to eat Italian food. You need to drive like about 20 kilometers or 10 kilometers there. You want to Chinese. You need to find out what Chinese food is good. Here, every cuisine is at your dining table and hot when you want it. That is the experience of dining experience. Google. See, when you don't know about something, it was how hard to find answers. It was so hard. I went through it. When I went to the school, when I went to college, there was no Google. So I couldn't find answers for many things that I need to ask people over there. Now, no. You can, in a meeting, somebody asks the questions, you can just Google it. And every kid in a graduation thanks Google over there. Simple, accurate, an awesome answering experience, including directions. You don't need to ask anybody over there. Facebook, an awesome friend experience. When you need a friend, you can have it. It is when you want them there. Now, when you want them to prize you, they're not in front of you. So you can easily, without any interruptions and intrusions, you can have the friendship there. Robinhood. People used to think that investment is only for rich people and smart people there. They changed that. Even a kid of 18-year-old can do an investment there. So that's the Robinhood there. Zoom makes the distance disappear, like what is doing it for us there right now. And it made the online meeting. It is much more easier, simple, and great quality. So all of these companies, every founder of this company, when they started the company, only one thing they had is they want to create a memorable experience so that they can get paid a lot more and recurringly and continuously there. So that's what these companies have done. Then, so experience is the new oil. In 18th century, new oil is an immensely valuable asset. Then people used to call data is a new oil. But now data is not the new oil. So just the raw data, it does nothing. It just volumes of zeros and ones. But the new oil is the experience. You have to use the data to create that everlasting experience. Every one of those companies, they use tons of data, tons and tons of data, the one I went through it, to give you that experience, to continuously better that experience there. Because experience is personal. It's not like just you can define one thing. It's not like a product. You can just design it and just leave it there for next 10 years or 20 years. Experience changes. Experience is personal. Experience is local. Experience is cultural. No, so it is non-debatable. The one best thing is you can't debate it, whether it's good or bad, because you feel it. You know it's good, it's not good. It's like a taste. No, it's non-debatable. So we are in a digital economy right now where what is more valuable than ever is the experience. Experience makes people enjoy the moment, the duration, and they're willing to pay for it, a premium. So that is the main focus of the businesses over there. So just give you some data for the experience economy. You can look at, I talked about these commodities and goods and services. You can see the left side, the graph over there, how they differentiate. When you sell commodities, now raw commodities, there's no differentiation at all there. No, you're undifferentiated. When you make goods and deliver services, yeah, you are in a competitive position. You're competing it. You are in a little higher level there. But when you stage experience, when you sell experiences, that's very differentiated. And look at the x-axis. You pay a premium for that, a lot more money for that. So, but for that experience, you're playing an experience economy. Your staging experience is memorable. It's personal, like I told you all the stuff there. But you can compare this in the right-hand side. When you sold goods and services, what they were looking at, when sell experience, what they're looking at there. That is the difference. So this is what every company going forward will focus on this on the right-hand side. They'll use all the commodities and goods, everything, but deliver that memorable, unforgettable experience. Okay. So to do this, what do you have to do? to have experience as a sellable commodity and make more money there, what are the key factors in today's experience economy? First is you need to have a customer stickiness. When you have an experience, it is very stickiness. Now you have to measure the stickiness, how sticky they are there, and keep it going. It's going to keep changing. You have to keep evolving on a regular basis over there. And you have to focus on recurring revenue. It's not on a one-time transaction. So is it Amazon? They keep going back. No, it's Uber, keep going back. No, you Zoom, keep using it. It says be recurring. No, now every company, when they are in business, whether sell software, whether sell services, the cloud, they're all called recurring revenue. That's the only way that measure the company's success there. And never rest on laurels. All these 10 companies I went through it, they're great companies right now. But if they say they're done with their innovations, they won't be there in another 10 years over there. Now, you know very well, Nokia had the best device, affordable device, but they didn't further innovate to smartphones. They're gone. Sony, they're the first one to invent mobile music. They had the Walkman, but they didn't go beyond that. Got disrupted by Apple. Now, Kodak, there is a division that went and have designed that whole digital photography, but they are worried that will cannibalize their film business. So they didn't go after. The company is not there anymore. So you never rest on laurels, even though it's experience, you have to keep innovating it. So that's why you have to disrupt yourself. You have to cannibalize your own business before being disrupted. Next one is, many times in the past, businesses used to go and do a survey and ask what customer wants it. But don't assume customer knows what he wants. Steve Jobs didn't ask anybody to design an Apple phone there. Tesla, Elon Musk never asked anybody whether they will buy an electric car, whether they buy a self-driving car. If it asked that, nobody would say they will drive a self-driving car because people have been scared to death that self-driving car, how it will work in a congested traffic there. They never asked their customers. They had the audacity to go and challenge the status quo over there. So you need to have that audacity there. You need to learn from these companies there. You need to take that risk. And final thoughts on the business side. Okay, what are the key traits of a successful business there? Okay, you have to have a clarity. You need to have a clarity in the purpose of the business. That's a very important thing there. A lot of companies confuse the employees, confuse the consumers there. I used to say, don't be ashamed to say that we are here to make money, because that's what the business is. Business is here to make money. Don't ever believe somebody says that I'm here to help customers. You can only help customers if you make money. If you don't make money, you can't help customers over there. You're not a charity. You're in business. So don't confuse it. Have a clarity. We are here to make money. But in the process of making money, we'll help everybody there. But first, this focus is making money. You need to have that clarity, and so that when you do it, you'll do the right thing to make money. And you have to have a culture in the company there, but that culture has to be, relevant to the purpose. Now, what is the purpose of business? How are you going to make the purpose happen there? So a lot of employees, a lot of things will think. We ask what the culture of the company. Oh, they gave me free food. They give me unlimited vacation. They let me work from home. Oh, it's a great, nice buildings over there. They give me great cubicles. They give me a great computer. They give me a cell phone. They give me a nice branding logo there. That's not the culture. That is not a culture of it. The culture is, you need to define your culture in a way it is related to purpose and how you achieve it. So in my company, our culture is, it's very simple. We are here to make money by designing a great products which helps our customers there. So they need to have a very clear clarity there. Simple, crisp, and clear there. And same thing, other one is in a business, you need to make sure you understand what is core and what is non-core. The core is the one where you make money. Non-core is the one which is not help making money there. Like what systems you use, what email you use. Those are the things that non-core. So don't waste time on the non-core. Focus on the core. Whatever is non-core to you, you have to give it to the people, outsource it to somebody for whom it is core over that, right? And structure the organization with the clear accountability and responsibility. You have to make sure that who has accountability. There is no group hug. One of the things we used to tell in our company is when there is a failure, we should know who failed. We don't like we failed. The we failed is not the answer. When you say we failed, nobody owns the responsibility there. So there has to be a clarity of who made the decision, who failed, who is going to learn. So that is the important thing. This calling it teamwork is very good, but when it comes to the accountability, there is no teamwork. We need to know who exactly failed. It could be a couple of people or one person, a group of people, but it has to be who, not the we. And when you do well, share the wealth. Make the employees own the company there. Reward and recognize to retain the best talent. That's what our company does it. And we make 97% of the 90+% of the employees all shareholders of our company there. So make them there, then they will work hard. So with that, I just end. I know I went through some of this important stuff. I didn't go through a lot of stuff, but at least give you an idea of what you should focus, the company should focus, and what are the key things there. So now let's switch gears to say that let's talk about the career, the employees there. What's the success in career over there? Okay. So let's define what is success. In the business, we said experience, right? So if you ask anybody there, say, what is success? They say, if I make money in my job, that's success. If I get to a title, if I have a power, if I have a fame, if I have a pride, that's success. So in my experience, in today's world, success doesn't mean those things there. Success means continuous growth. You keep growing. That's the growth. You're continuously learning. That's a success. You keep learning means you keep growing. And you accomplish continuously. You're achieving something, you're accomplishing it. Just making salary is not a real accomplishment. That is the earning, what you get for the accomplishment there. And continuously you add value to the organizations you work for it. And you have to take a risk. People used to call, go join a job, government job or a bank job, so you'll never get fired. You'll have a job security. Nobody looks at right now. If you come to the Silicon Valley in California, they don't look for long-term jobs. They look for opportunity. They take a risk, go to a startup company. They go to a company, the company may not be in there 5 years, but look at what I can do in 5 years, what I can gain is an opportunity there. That is the take risk. And prepare to fail. We all will fail. There is nothing called success all the time. Nobody succeeds every time there, but you have to fail fast. That's the important thing there. You have to fail fast and continuously getting recognized for the value you add. That is an important thing there. Okay. Those are the definitions from in my world. So let's go to the key factors to the career success. Before that, I should turn on some audio. So I'm going to play some of the video there. And if you don't hear audio, let me know. So I'm going to go through play a video in a minute. Before that, it talks about employees' loyalty and commitment. I want you to listen to this video. Then we'll go from there. Maybe
This is a phrase, agree and commit, disagree and commit, that actually comes from Scott McNeely. At least that's where I was told it was from, and I've adopted it, stolen it, and probably should be paying royalties for it, but I'm not going to. But it's probably the single best business phrase that I've ever seen for building a culture of a company. We have a company right now at Glue Mobile that has epic battles. I mean, we have people who disagree with each other all the time. But we have ways that happens. It happens in business meetings. It happens in hallways. It happens in my office. But then we make a decision. And if you're the person who was in favor of that decision, then you stop the discussion because you've won. If you're the person who disagreed with that, you also stop the discussion because you lost. The most corrosive thing that can happen in any company is to have the debate continue after a decision has been made. And anytime that happens at a company, you find decisions being remade and remade and remade, and a culture that starts becoming quite corrosive. I have a friend who I once thought was going to be one of the most successful people that I knew. And he was at a very successful career, but not as successful as I thought it might be. And I think, as I think about what was wrong with his career, that the mistake that he made was that he has never been a disagree and commit person. He's been a disagree and keep disagreeing person. And in fact, it's made him sort of a disagreeable person. And he radiates that disagreement as he walks through the hall. He's a competitive guy. He played a lot of sports. He's bright. He's energetic. He's a terrific guy, except he can't get over the fact that somebody made a decision that he thinks in his mind was stupid. And you know what? It might have been stupid, but the fact that he can't get over it starts to grate on everybody. And if you're the CEO in the company and you have a person who's constantly dissatisfied with your decision making, ultimately you have to cut that person loose because you can't have that sort of constant dissension. It's one thing to argue beforehand, but afterwards you got to get over it and move on. And so the phrase that I will forever remember, because it works, is agree and commit and disagree and commit. And one of the best things that somebody can say about somebody in our company, and I've had my CTO describe people this way, is he's a disagree and commit kind of person. Because that's the perfect person, somebody who can actually give you an argument as to why you're wrong, say it to your face, but then support you when you make the other decision. If you can be that kind of a person, you're going to be successful in business, almost no matter whether you were right or wrong on the discussion.
So hopefully you were able to hear that well, and that is from a management seminar. It clearly tells you when you are in a company, when you're in an organization, you have only three choices left. Either you agree to a decision made by your superior or your peer or organization over there and make that decision happen, successful there, Or, like he said, tell them that you're stupid, you made a mistake, you're wrong, you argue, whatever it is there, but after that, just get over it and just move on and work as hard as what you would have worked if you agreed it. So that even if it's a wrong decision, we will know soon it is wrong, then we can change the direction. Otherwise, we'll keep on discussing it. We keep on changing decisions. We'll never get to a destination. Even though sometimes we may fail, but we can course correct it to go to the right direction. But for that, you have to make a decision and everybody has to work towards the decision. So disagree and commit is the best thing. If you cannot do it, both. There are people, they say, I cannot do it. Then I say it's better you look for an opportunity somewhere else where you can be always agreeable. Don't waste the time, your time and organization time. Leave and look for the right place. Doesn't matter how smart the guy is there. Doesn't matter how good the guy is there, because this is a cancer. He'll go to the water cooler, he'll go to the lunch place, he'll go to everything, he'll keep on talking about it, and if it's a manager, he won't even motivate his team to do the work. So that itself will make the things to fail. So it's important when you work for organization, you have a loyalty and you have a commitment. If you cannot give that to the organization, it's better you look for a place where you can be loyal and committed. So next one, we all have three things with us: knowledge, skills, and attitude. So which one is so important on this one? This is in a video from a professor from Bangalore. Let me play this and you hear it. And
there are three things in life that makes the person successful. One is the knowledge the person has, the skills he develops, and the attitude he has. It can be demonstrated by a very simple experiment of balancing the two heavy stainless steel forks on the edge of the glass. One fork represents the knowledge the person has. The another represents the skill a person needs to possess. And then knowledge and skills are individual to the person. They live with him and die with him. They cannot be passed on. But they can be connected to the society or the organization through another agency called as the toothpick. If you can see, the forks are hanging free on the edge of the glass with a toothpick. If you see, 3/4 of the toothpick is outside the glass, a small portion is inside the glass. Now what should happen if I burn the toothpick from inside? Watch carefully. I start burning this toothpick. What normally people expect is, as the toothpick burns, the wood burns and the whole fork should fall down. It would not happen. I can take another matchstick. I'll try to burn it. The inside of the toothpick. Not two. Even if you take 20 matchsticks, it will not burn beyond that. If you observe carefully, the toothpick is balancing on the edge of the glass, which is not even 1 millimeter thick. Two heavy forks are balancing on that. This is most important to us. Your knowledge and skills are important, but what is most important is the attitude which connects you to society and the organization. Among the three things that I have, glass, fork and toothpick, toothpick is fragile, it can be burnt. That means in your life your attitude is more tested than your knowledge and skills. If your attitude is firm, in spite of being burned several times, it will not drop your knowledge and skills. Please watch carefully. I slowly lift the glass up now. You can see. Still knowledge and skills are held together by the attitude. Now I push the attitude out. When I push the attitude out, the knowledge and skills also fall down. Therefore, the most important aspect in life for success is not the knowledge, not just the skills. It is the attitude a person carries. Ultimately, that holds him in difficult times and make him successful in good times.
So hopefully, that was enlightening. So normally, you will, let me go to my next slide. You will see knowledge is the most important, or skills most important. But actually, what is most important is attitude. If you don't have the right attitude to connect to the organization, it doesn't matter how smart you are, how good you are, how productive you are, you are not useful to the organization. If you have the right attitude, the knowledge and skills will come with you there. It will be useful. It will add value there. So when you hire somebody or when you work, you have to make sure you have the right attitude. That is important. I tell all my employees and all my managers, when you hire, when you interview, look for attitude first. I can train a person, but I cannot change a person. So it's important we hire the right person to the organization. So when you go and work after you graduated, make sure that you have the right attitude. You can be a team player. You can learn. You can be agree and commit, or disagree and commit kind of a person there. You can be a positive can-do person over there. Those are all important. You don't learn that. It comes with you. It is who you are. So make sure that the who you are, the attitude that helps you to be successful. A lot of great people, smart people, not successful in corporate world because their attitude. So that's my 2 cents on attitude. So hopefully, it helps you there. So let's go. Another thing I want to tell you, when you work, based on your levels and whatever the role you are there, we all have 3 powers. I call KPI. We have knowledge power, we have a position power, we have influential power. Not only in work, even in life. As in personal life, you have your own knowledge power. You have your position as your dad or mom or husband or a wife or a brother or a sister or a friend, the position power. And you have influential power. You can influence a person over there. But what the secret to success is, in your work or in your life, which power you use and when. That's more important. If you always use position power, you lose people, right? So you have to start with the knowledge power, which is more powerful to prove with the data, facts and data. Or you use influence. The influence comes with the trust you developed, the credibility you earned, how value you are. That's how you can influence people there. That influence. When those two are much more powerful when you want to get your message passed out. When you want to influence people, when you want people to work for you, you want people to get things done. If nothing works, then you use position power, tops down. That's what it is there. No argument done. That's a silver bullet you use at the last when you need it there. So remember, you all have 3 powers, but which one you use when will make you successful in your career. Okay, those are 3 powers. Then the 3 towers, the critical towers, in your career. That picture is from Singapore, and I used to go to Singapore. I love those places. I've stayed there. So in your career, when you work, when you get out of the college, when you work there, there's the 3 C's. You have to look for it. It's an important thing. First C, it's not a crore, it's a compensation. We all go to work to make money. If there is no money, none of us will be working, right? To be frank, So first question you ask is, am I getting paid competitively for the value I add? Everybody asks only one question is, am I getting paid competitively to my neighbor, to my friend, to the person I saw the other day, to the person who says in a glass door that he's making so much money? No, that is a wrong comparison. Don't compare yourself to somebody. You have to compare apple to apple, not apples to orange. Am I getting paid competitively for the value I add to the organization? That is the question you ask. You get the answer yes, be happy. If the question is no, then think what you should do next. Okay. Next, you make money. If money is the only reason, a lot of people go to work not just for money. Just want to go, just keep themselves busy. They have enough money, but they want to keep learning. There are other things they can do. The other purpose they go to work. Content is what I'm doing to earn that money. Am I enjoying the job? Am I learning? Am I growing? Am I accomplishing? That's the important. Even if we pay you every year the 20%, 30% increase, if you're not learning, if you're not growing, if you're not accomplishing it, you're wasting your time. You're wasting your time. So content. Third, important thing, we go to work, we spend 8 hours. We spend more time at work when there's no COVID than at home with our own family, and our own families and spouses and children there. So you have to make sure the people around you, why the people around you are important. They are the one who can make you successful or who can make you fail. So am I with the right people? Is the right manager who's giving me opportunities, who encourages me? Is the right colleagues who helps me to succeed? Is a place of teamwork, encourages and provide the opportunity to learn, grow, and getting recognized. So my manager told me about 25 years back when I was working for HP, Andy, every year you should look at all the 3 C's and evaluate. And if you get an answer yes, then you should continue. If not, you should look out somewhere else. Because that's the only way you will keep growing. Otherwise, you'll be wasting the time. So 3 critical towers. Now, always remember this 3 C's: compensation, content, and colleagues. All the 3 are important. For some people, one is more important than others. But all 3 are somewhere important. It could be like for you, could be one person could be compensation, another could be content, another could be colleagues. It depends where they are, who they are, or what part of the life cycle they're in. Next, so trust. We talked about the loyalty. The trust is the most important trait. When you work, very important. Trust is there. People trust you. They pay you. They trust you. They're going to get things done. It's the character. What it is, trust means in the work. You walk the talk. When you tell your manager you're going to get things done, you better get done. You don't go to the last minute, say that, give me 10 excuses why I couldn't do it. If there's an issue, you tell them much ahead of the time. So normal people say that you need to have a relationship where you can never be in a position where people tell you, I have to verify before I trust what you say. That is in a more dangerous position to be there. But then you need to be either I'm completely trust you or I trust and then verify, which are the better ones. Completely trust you without verification is the best. But that could be harder to get to it. It takes time there, but at least get to a trust and verify situation there. It comes over the time. It doesn't come easily there. You have to earn it. And hard to earn, but easy to lose. Don't lose it. One incident will make you lose that. So I always say that trustable, and dependable employee is always better than a smart employee, who is not trustable and dependable. Okay. So, now make sure that the trust, you trust, you take it seriously there, and you maintain it. Okay. And when you want to be successful. So next is focus, risks and failure. We talked about this. Let's give you, some more things. That people try to do so many things. I'll say, don't boil the ocean. People say jack of all trade, and master of none. That does not take it to the goalpost. At any given time, especially when you're growing, building a career, be focused on one thing there. Don't ever lose the focus. You can expand, you should expand and extend horizon over the time, but not at the same time. If you do 10 things at a time, you will not justify any one thing there, and you will not be the best in any one of things there. There is no hurry. You have 30, 40 years of career there. Just take it slow, build the foundation. That's important. Take time to build the foundation, which is strong, which is deep. Then you go through the T skills. Let's go deep, then go wide. Okay. And always, people who take risk, they get reward. Check Steve Jobs took a risk. Elon Musk took a risk. They made a lot of money there, tens and tens of money. They are one of the richest people now. So, but for that, you need to have the guts to make the call. When make the call, you cannot analyze and paralyze and make sure that analysis, paralysis, to make a call, make sure that you're going to be successful. Then you'll never make the call. You have the guts to make the call. Some of them with the data, some of them your intuition. But then that's the only half of it. The other half of it, they have courage to execute. You need to go and execute the courage there. And take calculated risk. Don't take stupid risk over there. And people, you've heard your parents would always say, never fail, never fail, never fail. I'll tell you, that is not a good advice at all, because every human will fail in life and in career. But they have to have that maturity and experience and attitude to get up and run. So you'll know that in the recent Olympics, there was a girl, in Netherlands. She was running 1,500 meters. The last lap, there's only 400 meters left. She was tripped by the other girl who fell down there. So she was running, in the front. She came to the very back. She got up. She ran in the 300 meter, and she won the race gold medal there because she was prepared. She knew this will happen. I'm sure this has happened to her before. So she knew how to manage that. So she took off like 100-meter sprint, and she won that race. So she did not make that failure to fail her. She converted the failure into success. So it's all about is you need to fail fast, and you need to be prepared to manage the failure. I need to learn from the failures. So I used to call, mistakes are made to learn, not to repeat. So that is on my, fail things there. So other thing is you all have to say, give up to rise up. If you hang on to what you have, you will never go up in your career there. People used to say, I can do my job and sleep. You can even tell, in your student classes too, I can do this without reading anything at all there. You can take a pride in people saying that, but I call it that is a dangerous sign. That means you are not learning anything anymore. You have learned everything what you could learn. That means you need to move on to something else, to change. That's a time to give up and go to something else. That's a signal to give up what you're doing it there. Because if you don't do it, the strength what you're proud of it, it'll become a burden one day and it'll start dragging you down. So make sure always ready to give up. Giving up is hard. And one thing I'll tell you is a human being at the race, always, whenever we are in an uncomfortable position, we work hard to make it comfortable. That's why we have cars today, we have air conditioning today, we have a flight today, because we couldn't walk, we couldn't deal with the heat, we couldn't deal with so many things there. So we invented it. So if we were comfortable with the heat, if we were comfortable with the walking, we would not have invented any of those things, any of those things. So same way, in your job, if you're comfortable, you will not learn. So make yourself uncomfortable. Then you will learn much more. So then become comfortable. Then you become a king. Then again, go through the cycle. Change again, make yourself uncomfortable. Then you start learning it there. And so also the other one is share. Whatever you do, share. and work hard to eliminate your job so that you can do something else, or you can give the job to somebody else over there. No, and have the courage to walk away when you're at the top of the career. No, I've done my career. No, I used to be CIO for 10 years. I walked away. No, I said I'm done enough of it. So I wanted to be CTO there. So you have the courage to walk away when you're at the top of your career over there. So an experience is a journey. Don't say that I've gained all the experience. No, it's a journey. It's not a destination there. So final thoughts. I know I'm running out of time there. I need to finish it quickly there. So remember, change is the only constant. No, never be afraid of change. And whenever things go wrong, always remember things happen for reasons. No, we are human. We can only connect the dots looking backward. We cannot connect the dots in the looking forward to it. No, you will realize why things happen in the future when you move forward there. When you do have a passion for it, if you don't have a passion, change. No, the passion will make you to do the best, will bring the best out of you there. Career is not just to make money. If you want to have a successful career, no, yeah, if you just want to only make money, that's fine, that's a career. But if you want a successful career, it's not just the money, it's much more than that. No, be always surrounded by good and smart people. Remember that, good and smart people there. Now, make an impact within the company or in the community, and always give back, whether at work or at help, give back there. And be humble. No one is good in everything, and everyone is good in something. Be thankful, what you have, what you got, and always have faith, because we all will go through tough times like what we gone through in the COVID thing there, and everything will pass by, and nothing is permanent, including COVID-19. And with that, I'm coming to the end. So I thought I will finish my presentation with a quotes from a very, very successful man, successful businessman who is still alive, and who has built a very successful monster business. His name is called Warren Buffett. And so his quotes are, when it comes to the earning, says never depend on single income, always ever make an investment to create a second source. So it'll help you when you get into the tough situations there. And come to spending, you buy things. If you buy things you don't need it, you'll have to sell things which you need later. And savings, don't save what is left after you spend. You spend what is left after you're saving them. And taking risk is to never test the depth of the river with both feet. That's a calculated risk. Put one leg first there. Be careful. Be calculative. And investment, don't put all eggs in one basket there. And expectations, honesty is a very expensive gift. We talked about loyalty and trust, everything. So do not expect it from cheap people there. Okay, so that is the last slide I had. Hopefully it was helpful. You enjoyed it. And I think I have a few minutes left. I'll open up for a Q&A if any one of you have any questions.
Any queries you can ask now.
The participants are asked to type their questions in the chat box.
If you have any questions, I will answer. Otherwise, I don't want to take more time. Somebody asked for the last two slides, so I'll put the slides back in.
Sir, good morning, sir. It was a wonderful session. And sir, am I audible to you? Hello, sir.
So please unmute your mic, sir.
Sorry, you are audible. Sorry, was an unmuted there.
Okay, thank you, sir. So it was indeed a wonderful session, and sure it was an enlightening session for us, and I believe it's going to be a great exposure for our students. And so, on behalf of the students and out of this session, I would like to raise a question to you. As we know that we a group of people sit here from India, and you are there in the other time zone. And it's of course one of the greatest things that we could do today. And one thing I would like to ask is sir, like what would be the greatest challenge when we compare India and US, about the future of business and how or can you give some tips for our young generation for the upcoming days?
So please unmute your mic. So you have muted you. You have muted yourself.
So let me understand that question. So what is the challenge? And can you just repeat the last part of it, ma'am?
Yes, sir. So since there's a great difference between the economy of India and the US, and could you please give us some tips to overcome that challenge or the barrier, or can you suggest few tips for our young generation?
For the young people, what are the challenges in between India and US? Is what your question is?
Yes, sir.
So each country has its own challenges there. There are a lot of things is much better in the United States now. Like when you start a business, it's much easier to start a business there. If you have an idea, there are people to fund the idea over there. And there's access to the people, access to the talent, the great people there. It is in the US, it has it that, but US has a lot of other challenges over there. So in my view, I've not done any business in India, so I don't have a lot of insight into in India. But in the US, I've been in part of the business, public companies, private companies, and venture capitalists there. But the one thing what I'm realizing is in the last 10, 15 years, because of the internet and the communications and connectivity there, the world is becoming flat. And the things are like, in India, and doing business in India is getting much easier. And the systems are getting better over there. The what's important thing is one of the things is you want to make sure is in India the challenge could be is finding the right use case. The lot of young people are coming up with ideas. It is people normally always look at if I have a more complicated technology, and if I solve a complicated problem, that's why I'll become successful. I'll make money there. No. Very simple ideas, very simple things, can make you very successful, but that has to be useful. Like I said, that has to create a memorable experience to your customers over there. So I've seen in the people in India coming up with that kind of, they think it's too simple sometimes. It is not marketable. It's not, So give it a different, thinking, look at different way and come up with those kind of, simple and easy, things where you can really market it, you can really make a good business out of it. Simple things which really helps. Now, accessibility to the market. A lot of people you can reach out to it, even in the villages there. So come up with those ideas there, and you can be very successful. You don't have to write a complicated programs, design a complicated product to be successful. So that would be one of my advice to it.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, and a question from the participant side.
Questions in the chat box to you. One of the questions is, how do I determine whether I'm capable of starting a business?
Okay, whether you're capable of, sometimes we don't even know what we can do ourselves, right? We always underestimate ourselves there. And there is no magic about go and take a test and see whether I'm capable of it. Whether there's only a few questions. Are you passionate about something? Are you willing to work hard and fight it? Win this one, because starting a business is not easy. If you ask anybody who started a company in the United States, they'll tell you it is hard work. It's very hard work, but there's a lot of reward there later if you're successful. And you may fail a couple of times. So first, you think three things I'll tell you. Are you, or can you afford a failure? No, that's the important thing. No, and will you fail fast? If it happens, then learn. No, and a lot of successful businessmen, including Steve Jobs, did not succeed at the first time over there. So you need to make sure that you have that kind of appetite in your tummy, to start a business. I have a passion for something, and I have the courage now to face the challenges, to come out of it and learn from it and keep going it. And I have a good group of people around me who will advise me, to help me to make successful there. So that's my, you look at those things there, then start. And obviously you need to have access to a capital. So you need to have some money over there and an idea there. Yeah. The next question is, what would be the best source of financing for a new startup and at different phases in the business growth? Can you please explain ideas regarding this? I don't know how things work in India there. Here, there's a lot of VC companies, seed fundings, things like that. There are many ways there. And you can Google it in India. You can see what are things over there. First thing is, you cannot just go and get somebody's money to start the idea there. People who are going to put money, they want to invest money. They have business mind to make money. Now, unless otherwise they are your relatives or your friend, they'll give you the money. Otherwise, first you need to put your own money and your own time, your own effort to get something out. You have some working product, something like a concept, so that you can demonstrate, the value, you can demonstrate the potential, of what is that, in the business. Then you can take that to a lot of, there's a lot of avenues, you can find in India too. There's a lot of investors there. You can start, even your own circles, let's call it series seed funding, start the money there. And it's all baby steps. Nobody goes and gets $1 billion or $1 million there. They start from $5,000, $10,000, or in your Indian rupees, maybe 50,000 rupees, 1 lakh. So you get that one there to start. That's the baby step. Then you keep adding value, people automatically will come to you to invest money. And right now, there's money is very cheap. Even if if you have a good idea, if you believe in, even taking a taking a loan, business loan or some kind of a loan. Now a lot of people put their home equity loan. They get there, they risk it because they want to succeed. So first you need to put your own capital and your own time. Then you create a concept. Then demonstrate that, then ask for some investment, then keep going in baby steps.
Thank you, sir, for your wonderful presentation. From this, we are able to know how to be successful in business and career, and got some knowledge and skills that are important. Apart from that, we need attitude. I assure that we will follow your words, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. It was my pleasure. And thanks for listening to me. Appreciate it. Thank you all. Have a good conference and have a good day. Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Let them know. The next session will start in 10 minutes. I repeat, the next session will start in 10 minutes, and I request the participants to hold on to the meeting because the meeting will complete only by 1 p.m. Still, 2 more guests are about to address this international conclave, and the next session will be starting in 5 minutes. I repeat, the next session will start in 5 minutes. and I request the participants to hold on to the meeting.
So I was just looking at what I can focus today or what I can talk in this particular session, looking at the type of the audience. So I thought that I'll share some of the regulations which are affecting the business. Though I'll begin in general initially, and then go on to the little bit of some specific regulatory changes that are happening in India. Of course, at this point in time, when COVID is really changing the way businesses are being done, I think it's also important to know this is going to be a passing phase, and there are a lot of changes that's going to happen. And the Indian business sector, I think, is undergoing a lot of reforms. And I'm sure that the regulations that are governing the various businesses will encourage the way in which the business is being done. To begin with, if you look at in terms of regulations affecting the Indian business, who are the regulators? And
I'm sorry for interruption, ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am, your voice is breaking, ma'am.
Voice is clear? Not clear?
Ma'am, your voice is somewhat breaking, ma'am. Ma'am, can you use your headphone, ma'am?
Yeah, one second.
Yes, ma'am.
So can you hear me now? Is it better?
Yes, ma'am.
Now it's better, ma'am.
It's better?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. It's better, ma'am.
Okay, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So look at what are the regulations that normally affect an Indian business. What we find that is there are several ways by which the government tries to regulate the Indian business sector. But maybe I thought I'd share some of the things that are happening, which is bringing in a change in the way the firms are functioning now. Of course, the main regulator in India is, of course, we find the Reserve Bank of India comes up with some guidelines. Securities Exchange Board of India comes up with certain guidelines. Companies Act, particularly the Companies Act 2013, has brought in very significant changes in the way in which the activities of a firm can happen. So I think it also shows that what the type of changes that they want to bring in the business sector also when you look at the reforms here. And most interesting thing is, if you look at whatever may be the regulation in recent times, what we find that is the regulators are willing to take feedback. Even before coming up with the policy, they also discuss with the likely people who will be affected by it, get their inputs also, or involve them in the policy making process also, and then they're coming up with the policies. I think that's a very big change that's happening, and that is why we find that there's a lot of changes that are happening in the way the bills are being done also. Of course, they want to make things much more simpler and easier for firms to function. And keeping that in mind, and also trying to ensure that you protect the investors who have invested money in the firms also. So keeping these things in mind, the regulators come up with appropriate policies that will guide the business here. So companies like 2013 reforms, I think they are really very interesting and very useful. And I think every commerce student should definitely go through the changes that are being brought in by the Act here, in the last few years. Another regulator is Ministry of Finance comes up with a set of guidelines or policies. Ministry of Industries come up with policies specific to an industry or in general also. And several other policies related to business keep coming now and then. So when we are, as a commerce graduate, I think all students, I think it's important that we need to understand in terms of how these regulations and guidelines have an impact on the way the business function. So maybe when I come up with some of the changes that are happening that they have that has been proposed, I'll also try to give how it has impacted also. So we will know in terms of what is the need for this type of policies or regulations and how it's affecting the business. It's not only important we come up with appropriate policies or regulations, but it's also important that we need to think in terms of how it's going to be executed. So we need a lot of institutional infrastructure set up to execute and implement the policies also. So we have some infrastructure institutions, particularly the banks and intermediaries. They play a very significant role in trying to support the growth of the business sector. We have stock exchanges, we have clearing corporation India Limited, depositories, and several other national level institutions and as state level institutions which provide support in implementing these policies and guiding the firms in running their businesses. But if you see in recent times, one of the things that I observe is that the focus has been coming up with more technology-driven processes. Compared to what it was before, I think now it is all the focus is more on technology, and they want to ensure that we get more patents, more R&D, research and development happens, and we have our own patented technology for the users. That's something which we find, and also in the procedure, in the processes of implementation, also it's also more technology-driven. And a lot of new innovative instruments are come up, which to facilitate both collecting money and also taking payment. They've also come up with a lot of new ways of raising funds by a firm. More interestingly, in the markets, the financial market segment, the commodity market is actually growing in a very big way. I think over a period of time, I expect that the commodity market will take over the stock market and the bond market also. And coming to the bond market or the debt market here, I think the corporate bond market is not doing that very well. But now we find that in recent times, there's a lot of improvement and the corporate bond market is also emerging. So always when you say bond or debt, I think people always talk about government bond, government debt. But now I think the corporate bond market is not very active, particularly the secondary market. And now we see in recent times, a lot of regulations are coming to revive this particular market also. At the Indian financial system and how it has linked to the business sector, I think the financial system is made up of the markets. Basically, it tries to connect people who have money and people who need money. All the firms require funds, but then there are people who have money. And so it tries to connect those who are saving money with those who need money. How does it do this? It creates certain instruments, mechanisms like shares, debentures, bonds, through which one can collect the money from those who have some surplus funds. And how it is being collected is through the support of financial institutions and financial intermediaries. And then not only that, just try to connect. And later on, if anybody wants to offload these securities, we have the financial market through which it can be bought and sold also. So it is the financial system provides a great support for the growth and development of the firms. But in terms of investment options in recent times, we find that people look at either, suppose those who have surplus money can invest in mutual funds, in bonds, in stock, in gold, in bond, in exchange traded funds, And then nowadays, I think people talk about cryptocurrency. I think during this pandemic, I found that a lot of youngsters have started buying these type of cryptocurrencies also. I'm not sure whether they understood the risk involved in it, but still, we observed that a lot of young investors have started investing in cryptocurrencies. And that is the reason why even RBI has also now recently come up with their own sort of guidelines and trying to see if they can come up with their own cryptocurrency also, apart from looking at the cryptocurrencies available in the market. So when you look at the financial markets, I think that drive the financial system. I think we have earlier it was an open OTC market, but now it's become more organized and structured markets. I think all of you have known that the major strength of our Indian financial market is that it has become very organized and structured. Even international markets appreciate our own systems and procedures by the way in which the market is functioning. Particularly the way the National Stock Exchange is being conceptualized and the way it's been done, the systems and procedures is very much appreciated by the international markets. So when it comes to the market, we have the stock market, we have the bond market, we have the forex market, we have the commodities market. And in order to ensure that in these markets, it is normally what we find is that many investors operate in it. And those who want to make some quick business or speculate, or not for investments, but for they are making investment by operating market for speculation, then they can go to the derivatives market. So they have also introduced the stock derivatives, credit derivatives, currency derivatives, and the commodity derivatives market. And it tries to ensure that the other markets are more stable enough. So if you see, the regulators come up with a set of guidelines pertaining to each of these markets now and then to ensure that all those investors' interests are actually being protected. It's not only for the firms, but not only in terms of raising money or in terms of how the money is going to be invested, but also in terms of governance of the firms also. In recent times, there's a lot of guidelines that has been coming up saying the way the company is going to operate. I think some of the guidelines are pertaining to in terms of whether the chairman of the company and the managing director of the company should be the same person or it should be two different people who are in the business. So they're now making it mandatory that the chairman and managing director should be two different things and they should not be related, not be close relative operation also. So I think these type of small reforms are being introduced to ensure that the small investors' interests are being protected here. With respect to financial markets, RBI comes up with a set of guidelines. And particularly we see in terms of RBI guidelines, they come up with the guidelines pertaining to the domestic market, particularly the money market, in terms of treasury bills. Particularly these guidelines are very useful for all the banking transactions. So money market related guidelines are coming up. And also they try to come up with guidelines for the government securities market. Whenever the government needs money, I think when you want to raise funds, there's a primary market guidelines. And secondary market is also there. They provide an option for open market operations or in terms of auctions also. Another thing is the foreign exchange market. So basic purpose here is they want to ensure that adequate forex and rupee is money is liquidity is there in the market, and there's a lot of and also try to ensure that there's not much of change in the exchange rates or volatility in the exchange rates and the interest rates. So keeping this in mind, the regulations are being formulated by the Reserve Bank of India. To look at financial markets and Securities Exchange Board of India, they come up with a set of guidelines for various things. One, if you look at the Corporation Finance Department of SEBI, they come up with guidelines pertaining to issue and listing of securities. Particularly whenever a company wants to raise funds, coming up with issue of shares or bonds, rights issue or an initial public offer or a follow-on issue, they come up with a set of guidelines. And then I think in recent times, you find that there are a lot of companies coming up with IPOs. I think some of you They followed the Zomato came up with the popular IPO issue, and they raised so much of funds through the public issue. The SEBI also comes up with a set of guidelines pertaining to mergers, demergers, amalgamations. And the most important thing is that in recent times, a lot of guidelines are coming up pertaining to corporate governance and also accounting auditing standards. If you see sometimes in recent times, the scandal, Satyam scandal is one which actually triggered one to come up with governance related guidelines. And after the Satyam scandal, then later on, in recent times, you look at in terms of Indigo, or even in the case of Coffee Day. I think many of you would have seen that in Coffee Day also. And because of the governance, the company is also not doing well also. So a lot of the governance and accounting auditing related standards are being enforced. Of course, they also come up with other guidelines pertaining to restriction, takeovers, delisting, etc. In addition to this, SEBI also come up with separate set of guidelines pertaining to the bond market, the debt organized securities market. One is the corporate bonds or debentures. Then they also come up with guidelines pertaining to real estate. Now, in recent times, real estate firms, particularly construction companies, and then these type of organizations, they have started raising money also. So they have also come up with guidelines for the real estate investment trust, infrastructure investment trust also, so that they are all properly governed. Securities Exchange Board of India not only comes up with a set of guidelines, but they also regulate and supervise. So they have a separate wing which tries to look at in terms of supervising and ensuring whether the companies are actually complying with all the norms on it. So they do a lot of monitoring and inspection of the various entities and all the segments in the markets, and then try to see in terms of how the compliance is being adhered to. If you look at the Indian stock market, I would say that it is a very vibrant market. And as I was mentioning, NSE has got a lot of global recognition for its processes and systems. And, of course, as you see in Companies Act, the most important thing is they have also permitted the issue of shares with different voting rights now. And Bombay Stock Exchange says that try to, there's sometimes a lot of non-traded shares are there. They're trying to see in terms of how it should be listed, whether it should be there or not. And we also find that the derivatives market is serving the role of a price discovery for the stock market. Why derivatives is they want to push the speculators from the spot market to the derivatives market. And then the derivatives market, the way it is being priced, becomes as a price discovery vehicle for the prices in the stock market. And there's a lot of evidence pertaining to that also. And most interesting thing in recent time is now who are the people who are investing in the stock market is a lot of retail investors actually have increased. And I find like particularly in the last 2 years, the number of individual retail investors investing in the stock market has actually increased a lot. Maybe I have some few information and details on that, which I'll share with you shortly. They always say that when the 2% of the savings is being invested, and they want to increase this to 10 to 15% by 2025. So I think that is the aim with which the market is, the guidelines are also being formulated to attract investors to invest in the stock market. Why invest in stock market? See, for all the savings, if you're going to put it in fixed deposit in a bank, nowadays the rate of interest is 5 to 6%. But what is the inflation rate and this rate of the return that they're going to get is going to be the same. So as it's later on, you'll find that the value of money will actually come down. It is important that people should also invest part of the money in stock market or in mutual funds so that they get a higher return for the savings that they have. So in that sense, it's important. That's why we are putting a lot of efforts to increase the retail investors in the market also. One more interesting thing I thought is I also see that the SME platform, the small medium exchange platform, started in 2012. Particularly for those companies where the capital does not exceed 25 crores, they can come up with issue and raise funds. And now can register either BSc or MSc, and now they can also, I mean, actually all the exchanges are also now working together here so that they can be listed and can operate in both the exchanges. One more interesting thing is the Finance Ministry has come up with a public debt management cell also. So they wanted to streamline government borrowings and ensure that there is a better management of cash, and the government bond market is going to be more stronger also. So here are some few changes which are actually in the recent times to the found also. It's not quite easy, but still these things are important, which is driving the market. And this is what I thought I should share now, is in the number of demat accounts in 2021, actually, it was actually increased by so much. They always say, they first say that why the number of demat accounts has increased. The retail investors have increased. The virus is provided, the coronavirus situation has provided opportunity for investors to invest in good quality stocks at cheaper prices. And a lot of people, office players, are now sitting at home. So they have time to analyze the companies, and they're investing money for long term also. And another thing, why you find that there are more number of demat accounts and more retail investors is that nowadays you find a lot of investment apps and digital platforms are there, which makes it much more easier. By sitting at your home and with the laptop, you can make all the transactions, and then you can also ensure that it's safe also. So I think this is one of the reasons why we find that the number of demat accounts in 2021 is actually increased. And what are the type of people who are actually investing in this particular case? Now, they said that investors under the age of 30 make up 2/3 of the users. I think it's a really interesting thing. Who are the people who are investing in the stock market? Banks. And they also say that with Gen 18 to 24 comprise about 30%, and young millennials 24 to 30 years constitute about 37% of the investor base. So this shows that earlier those who are investing in the stock market was totally different at the higher end, above 30 years. But now we find that a lot of young investors are coming into the market. So you find that the current generation, we find that they start thinking in terms of investing in the mid-30s, and millennials start looking at investing the money in the early 20s. So that is what we find. That's a shift that we are finding now because of the changes that have happened in the recent times here. So one more thing what we also find is a lot of companies that come up with IPOs, follow-on initial public offering or follow-on public offering, rights issues, and also the size of issue is also more than the number of issues also. So it's not that the number of companies are raising funds is less, but there's also increasing, but the amount that has been raised is also quite high. Whether it is the say rights issue, if you look at IPO or follow-on also, you find that it has been increasing. And then rights issue has also been increasing, particularly rights issue is increased much. In the recent times, more preferences for rights issue is there. And whether it's a term of equity issue also, you find that it is increasing. And instrument wise also, you find that par and premium, most of it is a premium also. So as you observe that more firms are raising funds, and I think last week, I think it was seen in the newspapers also that a lot of comments that now I think that many companies are coming up with IPOs and they're just taking money. One interesting thing that you'll find here is that companies which are raising funds, they're not only raising for new projects, but you also find that some of the existing, for also to divest the shareholding of the existing investors also. So they're coming up with the offers are issued from the existing shareholders, and then they want to offload it, particularly the promoters, or particularly when they've gone in for venture capitalists have made the investment, they want to offload it also. So for these purposes also, they come up with the public issue. Earlier, they used to raise funds basically only for the purpose of a particular specific project in hand, but then now you find that this is also for the purpose of providing a platform for change of ownership from one group of investors to other group of investors also. In recent times, many such issues are coming. Corporate bonds is also increasing, but the size of the issue is actually not that very high here. You look at in terms of number of companies which are raising corporate bonds. But however, the secondary market for corporate bonds is actually better than compared to what it was. Of course, it is the equity segment which is very active. So, for example, I thought one IPO is Shyam Metallic is come up with an initial public offer. It is about 909 crores. They came up with the fresh issue of equity shares are getting about 657 crores. Yeah. Offer for sale, they gave the offer for sale for about 250 crores. And the price band they quoted is about 303 to 306. And they're coming up with, for retail investors, about 35% of the issue is what is being provided here. And then interestingly, you find that several big companies, even public sector companies, have started and have invested in this particular issue. And of course, as you know, that basically they wanted to use the proceeds of this particular issue for prepaying or repaying the company's loan. Particularly, they have a huge debt of 470 crores, and that is the purpose that they come up with this IPO issue. And if you see now, the shares are, of course, I just want to see in terms of how the company is coming with an IPO, and it's not for a small amount, it's actually for an amount of a huge amount of 9.9 crores. I think that's why I just took this particular example here. We can also see there's another thing is about Sona will be precision forgings, and they came up with the IPO issue size of about 5,550 crores. It's not a small amount. And then the issue also compares offer for sale by the company shareholders. So I think that's something which you should also look at here. And this is earlier, before this, they also issued an IPO with Blackstone, and there it was sort of a 7,300 crore. So I think what we observe here is now the companies are coming up with raising funds, and the amount that is being raised is not small amount, the huge amount. I think that's the point I wanted to look into and see what's happening. One interesting thing also is foreign investment in India is also increasing. Of course, except for the last 1 month, I think what you find that is the foreign investment is also quite high. As you see, compared to the previous years, I think about in the last year, 19 to 20, about 5,273 billion has been raised, and I think that's really a very impressive fund. That has also helped the development of the businesses. So it's not only fund-based on anything. I think we also, the foreign investment also, we find that the businesses are raising the funds. And then, so take some of the banks. What I find is that foreign institutional investors' investment is much more greater than that of the domestic institutional investors. So this is another source of funding, which is actually enabling the development of various sectors in the industry. And one more thing I also think is, what about mutual funds? Mutual funds, the reserve mobilization of mutual funds, whether it's public sector or private sector, and you can just see a big change from 2010-11 to look at in terms of 2020, how the market has actually increased here, both private sector funds and public sector funds. There's been a big increase in the investments that are coming into the mutual fund sector. And I think this will keep growing for a period of time. I think this is going to be a trend which you'll see that it's going to be on a higher side subsequently also here. One of the reasons, as I was mentioning, is it's so important that people need to create more awareness for the investors. Whenever you have a surplus serving, you also, if you can understand and do analysis, invest directly in the market, or go to invest through the mutual funds. Of course, there are some people who used to question now. See, the pandemic is going on, and why is that the stock market is doing very well? And basically because we find that the market is functioning irrespective of whatever is happening in the economy. Whatever the macroeconomic changes are happening, I think the market also anticipates that this is what is going to happen, and this has been taken care of. And the effect is there only for a very short period of time, and then the market keeps functioning. So this is also one of the reasons why we find that the financial market is more active than thriving. But in the stock market, we see it is totally disconnected from the business fundamentals, and that is why we find that despite of the pandemic situation, the stock markets are functioning better. Regulations which I thought I can also highlight is one is SEBI came up with regulation on introduction of unified payment systems. Earlier they said that the unified public payment system can be applicable for public issue for shares, but now they said that they also extended for issue of debt. They came up with electronic voting mechanism also. They came up with different rules of with respect to promoters also. They come up with certain guidelines. So just let us see what they have said specifically. With respect to UPI, they said that earlier it was applicable for a unified payment system can be used for a public issue of shares, but now even debt. I think that is the most important thing. And it's available from January 1st to for applications up to limit of 2 lakhs. So this is something which is one major change that came in. And the Companies Act as a mandate, and it's a company to provide the electronic voting facility to the shareholders. I think in recent times, we have seen that many companies also conducted their general body meeting virtually. I think which they would not have thought of earlier, but now they have started doing that also. Now, in the electronic voting, they say the first shareholders can vote through the depositories after the demat account, or the depository will set up an OTP system for login also. So that's how every shareholder can participate and give the votes also in electronic voting mechanism. They also said that promoters share of 15% need to be declassified, and so they also made it mandatory that the disclosure should be there to the promoter shareholding. And a lot of mandatory disclosure pertaining to the promoters of the business is also being made. See, interestingly, in India, if you look at all the companies, who are the major shareholders? It is the promoters of the business. When we did a study, we found that nearly about 52% of the shareholding is held on average by the promoters themselves. So people would like to have the minimum of more than 51% of the shareholding so that they have the controlling rights. So whether it is a promoter, individual promoters, or a group promoter, or a corporate promoter, you find that the promoter shareholdings on an average is actually very high here. So if anyone is holding more 15% or a bulk or a concentrated ownership is there, then all these things have to be disclosed. So they come up with some guidance for them. SEBI also has come up with guidance for them to initial coin offering, ICO. So people put on the Bitcoin and other things are also being reviewed. And RBI, of course, is saying that these instruments are securities. So SEBI should be the regulatory body. So people, whether RBI should come up with the regulatory norm or whether SEBI is going to come up with the guidelines. I think there are some, but of course now recently we do find that RBI is coming in cryptocurrency also. But of course, as far as the cryptocurrency or virtual currency is concerned, is an unregulated digital money. So all of us will remember that there's no regulations that are governing. And if it's going to operate in the economy, I think set of guidelines are important so that we can protect the interests of the people who are investing or using these currencies. I heard that sometimes that day one was saying, I have a cryptocurrency and I use it for buying something. So, but of course, if you see that, we don't know where the money is going and how it's going to be accounted for. So, of course, this is more like a black box now. But I think over a period of time, it will become a lot of regulations and guidelines will come in as to the cryptocurrencies. And initial coin offerings is a mechanism by which companies raise funds. Few companies use this mechanism and mobilize, raise money through this virtual currency of initial coin offerings. But of course, as I said, this is a regulated one. And one more thing is, it's more like a crowdsourcing only. Or what happened is, whoever wants can also try to buy these currencies and provide the funds here. But then, so one can buy it in small or you can going for bulk investment or small investment also, and buy the coins here. And the value of the coin depends on the success of the business over a period of time. That's how they have come up with the issue. But as of now, there's no regulator, but shortly we'll see that regulations will come in pertaining to these things also. One more thing which I thought I would highlight is the fintech system is also changing and we need regulations pertaining to it. And I think we'll see more regulations on these also. So some regulations are there, but still, I think some of the areas where we'll see more regulations which will affect the businesses are is nowadays, when you want to borrow money and don't go to a bank or etc. Something like peer-to-peer lending. If you want money and I have money, then we can use the peer-to-peer segment and then try to take the funds forward. So that's what is happening. So now we have Lenbox, Sescent, Shiksha Financial, Gyandan, Finance. All these things are providing connecting people to raise funds and those who want to lend money also. And payment services also. A lot of new payment services, Mobility, Paytm, Oxygen Government are there, but then set of guidelines are required to ensure that these payment services are also regulated. Then for remittances also, what we find is a lot of startup ventures are registered abroad, and then they enable us saying that we can make remittances, both for we can receive funds and as well as we can make payments also here. Of course, if you see last year, a lot of us would have seen this Western Union is a very popular one in this, and of course, more since there are a lot of other things and other things are also coming up. I think the monopoly of Western Union or MoneyGram will come down. Now, personal finance or retail investment services are also coming up here. They provide customized information like Policy Bazaar, Bank Bazaar, Funds India. They are also coming with more customized small services to individuals here. Miscellaneous software services is also India. I think many of you are commerce graduates, you find there's a lot of scope, a lot of online accounting software created. Especially digital connected buyers and sellers also. For example, profit books, they'll come up with the online accounting design for non-accountants. So FT Cash is there where SMEs can offer payments to customers through the mobile-based platform. So different types of software services have also emerged. Equity funding is also there. Nowadays, not necessarily that always you have to come and raise money only through listing. But you can also use a crowdfunding platform, particularly with innovation and startups being given a lot of importance. What you find is crowdfunding is becoming a very big popular one, so to attract different types of investors. A lot of internet-mediated platforms are also available, like Wishberry, Star51, which connects people. And I said, cryptocurrency is was a more conservative market, but of course, few Bitcoin exchanges also are present in India, like CoinSecure, Coin, ZPay. It's basically a digital financial currency, and there's a separate market. Exchanges have been set up for trading on these type of cryptocurrencies also. So, a lot of innovative and dynamic use of technology is also taking place in lending processes. And nowadays, we find that machine learning algorithms, AI-based algorithms are coming up. So that a lot of, for example, looking at social media based on the activities that are happening, they extract a lot of information and then provide it to the sellers or the shopper, to the retail industries or other relevant people, so that that information is used and they can sell the products and services also. But one thing is the main purpose of all this type of AI-based system is that they want to reduce the time taken for processing and then execution or completion of the transactions here. HDFC and Axis, they've launched a mobile phone applications to use the digital transactions here. Goldman Sachs Group, Group, they have come up with they made a huge investment in Bangalore-based fintech startup for this country. So now what is that? The RBI set up a multidisciplinary committee to study the fintech business in India. And they want to first look at in terms of what are the risks involved in it, and what is the type of business model that you have pertaining to these type of things, and how the banking system should adapt to and respond to this. because now the banking system is separate from that of these things also, but then we have to integrate it also so that it is all accounted for. And we are trying to see how this integration can. As of now, RBI has already done is they have promoted unified the payment system, Bharat Bill payment system, digital payments to P2P lending, use of automated algorithm to offer, they have given permission. They granted license to about various fintech entities to establish payment banks also. So basically, they can provide savings, deposits, and remittance services. But government schemes are also there, which is trying to develop the. We have the Jan Dhan Yojana, Digital India program, Aadhaar unique identity system, and we have the e-governance systems also promoted by the government. More transparency and remove all the middlemen. So whenever they have to bid, they straight away you can bid online and then it is going to be sanctioned. I know many of the faculty researchers who have come up with any small projects, particularly in this pertaining to pandemic. I think we can apply online and then sometimes they got the approval and sanction for the fund much quicker compared to the other fund when you apply for a grant earlier. So there are a lot of changes that are happening to the e-governance system here. So when we look at in terms of the startup sector, there are several fintech startups also there. But I think what is more important now is the challenges, what will be the policies and governance pertaining to this will be activities coming under this particular sector. So in future, I think all of you by the time another 2-3 years, you'll find a lot of guidelines and norms, regulations pertaining to this. One more interesting thing which I thought I'd talk about is the micro, small, and medium enterprises. They are the future of India. They have about 16.4 million units throughout the country. I think many youngsters always want to work in big companies, but you understand most of the companies in India are MSMEs. So either you create your own unit or you can work for these units also. They are no way small than the large companies because it is these small and medium enterprises really are winning in India and they contribute a lot towards the GDP. MSMEs contribute 6.11% of the manufacturing GDP and 24.63% of the GDP from service activities. And totally about 33.4% of India's manufacturing output. And in recent times, you see the government policies are, they want to increase the GDP contribution from this segment to about 50% of the GDP from current 34% here. And they also wanted to increase the exports from this segment of industries from 50% to 75%. They want to increase the employment generation to about 15 crore people from this particular segment here. So I think this is MSME segment is a very big segment which means a lot of trust has been given and a lot of incentives are also being given to develop these type of industries. What happened? Why it is so is they generate jobs from bottom and they also demographic advantage. We have a lot of youngsters and we need to ensure that we cater to their requirements here. It's not necessary that you wait and apply for a job. I think the mindset of youngsters should be to is let me start something new. Will I do it or not? I think even parents of nowadays are encouraging their children to come up with their own entrepreneurial ideas. And some of the youngsters here, I think it's always good that you try initially. Just try for 2-3 years. It works out fine. Otherwise, then you can go and join the job anytime. But at least you have a satisfaction that you made a try. So it's important that you should think in terms of starting something on your own, at least by yourself or by taking the support of a group of similar, someone who can match your interest as a group of individuals also, you can start up your venture. And of course, one more thing is the thrust is more on research and development and coming up with your own innovative technology. And of course, some of you can also use this platform. The platform for education institutes again. They want to help students and innovators also to come up with their ideas. It provides a platform for students to start their own startups and create innovation entrepreneurship. So some of you can look at the website and look at the details and try out also. Because Make in India, usually when it initially started, people were wondering how is it going to have an impact. But interestingly, if you see, there's a lot of new firms started, but we have to actually, in another 5 years, we'll see the outcome of this one. Though there are many firms have started, we have to wait and see the outcome, because a lot of money has been pumped into it. A lot of people have started, a lot of skills are also put into this, but then it's not the outcome, we have to wait and watch. It's not just coming immediately, but then we see that in a period of time, gradually there will be an increase in the outcome from because of this particular Make in India initiative. So, like in the banking sector, certain reforms that are common is basically they come up with two things. One thing which I thought is bilateral netting. Another one is they come up with in terms of bank oversight. Maybe I will just go to the individuals, maybe skip to the details that are given here. I'll quickly just tell you in terms of one is they allow for netting of the funds here again. So basically earlier it was not allowed, but nowadays they can, the regulation says that you can go in for netting. So how much of investments and as lending, and then only the difference amount can be used for purpose of making payment also. Particularly between even banks and transactions are happening. One bank has to pay, say, 42,000 crores, another one has to pay this bank 57,000 crores. Earlier, 32,000 will get transferred and 67,000 will get transferred. Nowadays, it is netting only the net difference gets transferred. So that is the advantage of this netting. And this is something which all of you should observe, that in recent times, reviewing and analysis of banks and oversight of banks is actually on the increase. And that is the reason why we find that in recent times the mergers are happening and a lot of new guidelines are also coming up. So because of bank oversight, or the Punjab and Maharashtra Cooperative Bank is one thing. Then Yes Bank, and recently we were seeing that it was only because the bank oversight, they found out that there was something there, and immediately they wanted to see in terms of how to protect investors and solve the problem. And the existing promoter asked to go, and all institutional promoters came in and they invested in Yes Bank, and now it's functioning. So the oversight of bank is something is an important regulatory change that is made, is brought in. And that is also trying to ensure that the banking sector is more stronger and safer also. So this brings in all the banking sector and the regulatory oversight of RBI. And they have the right to approve the appointment of auditors, they recommend the removal of auditors also. And also they try to see in terms how to improve the governance of the banks. So this is the Banking Regulation Act of RBI also comes up with this type of guidelines to improve the banking efficiency. And we look at in the banking sector, what are the new trends that are coming in this pandemic has actually shifted, the shift to digital banking. And majority of customers started do not visit the bank branches, and they make use of all the new payment options. And fintech and innovation is driving the services, but we need a fintech regulation. I think that is something which we expect shortly here. And as I said, the 4.5 million individuals in open trading upon the first 7 months of this particular year. I think this is a very big change that we are observing. A lot of investors are trying to operate digitally and then also coming into investments in the stock market. Sometimes always people say that earlier we had a financial crisis in 2008, but how is this coronavirus crisis going to be different? Here what we find is investors they say the financial advisors, they say the lessons are the same. What you will do is you should not be going for any panic selling or panic activity. You have to accept the crisis and start seeing in terms of how to overcome. So I think that is why we find that though this crisis is there, still we find that all activities are happening and things are going on. I'm trying to be brief so that we can conclude shortly. So if you look at in terms of COVID-19 response, the corporate cash flow challenges are actually being tailored to the policies of the company. policies. So what we find is in any the cash inflow or outflow is there. Some of the policy the challenges and the policy reforms have been taken with trying to ensure that how to ease their corporate cash flow problem. I think one of the important challenge of because of the COVID-19 is that is many firms find that how to manage their corporate cash flow. So if you see the government is coming up with some short-term loans for SMEs, are they coming up with some incentives to repay or they're giving a moratorium of finance payment of debt payments, interest or these payments. And I think they also come up with a policy to provide assistance for the significant, most important operating expenses. They're giving moratorium even for tax payment also. So the policy response is to ensure that how to enable the corporate cash flow or liquidity challenges of the firms. What we find is because of these, the interest rates have actually declined, and I think this will continue. Of course, because the interest rates, central banks have to keep the rates low, bond yields will also be low, and I think you have to accept that. I think nowadays already we're seeing that the interest rate is 5 to 6% in FD. I think it may even further come down also. And what is happening here is now is more government debt is there because of the lockdowns. There's a big increase in the government debt levels is there, and I compared to that of earlier. So I think government debt is becoming one of the biggest share of the government in the economy, and inflation is also going to be higher. I think that's something which we will observe because of the next couple of, I think the next 2 years also we'll find that a lot of spare capacity has been created, and as a result, there's a possibility that inflation will be higher. And most important thing is for firms, there's been a lot of pressure on the profit margin. Because compared to the margins that they have earlier, the margin that they will be having now is going to be very less. And so we need to see in terms of how to handle these things. I think this is one of major challenges for the firms in this recent time. Of course, I'll conclude by saying also that OECD also said that globally also every government, every economy should respond to the liquidity problem or the problems of the corporates. They said the central bank should provide liquidity support and provide fiscal support for viable business and provide incentives for near-term cash flows and also provide support to small business and households. I think the Indian government has also tried to adhere to these type of guidelines only and will come up with the policies. One important thing I think that just say is there's also increasing forex reserves in India also. It's now there's also an advantage. We have a huge forex reserves and that is also trying to provide a lot of support for the developmental activities of the country here. So I'll just take here if you see here, 65% of the forex reserves are held in form of deposits in foreign countries, 28% deposit in foreign central banks, and 7.4% deposited in the commercial banks abroad. And India also has about 63.1 tons of gold as of March 2020, and 360.71 tons held in overseas and safe deposit with Bank of England and Bank for International Settlements. And the balance gold is held domestically there. So I think we must also remember that India is in a very strong position because of this huge forex reserves and the gold reserves that we are having. So I would like to say that these I try to highlight some of the changes here and there in the various aspects. Of course, if you see, right now it's not very promising. There's a bumpy road ahead for the Indian economy, and it's also important that economies have to work together. The way they were working before and the way they're working now is totally different. We need to look at it on working together, come up with new business models, try to see how to step in terms of developing new skills, new technologies, and in the process, new markets will come in. And the most important thing is emerging markets will drive the development. I think that is something we see. And being an emerging market, I feel that I think each one of us should dream big for a better India. And see in terms of how to work to overcome the crisis. I think every one of us can aspire to make a difference, and I'm sure that the future is very promising. And be ready to observe that Indian business is driving the director. I think these are my few thoughts. I thank the organizers for giving me an opportunity to share some of my thoughts in terms of what's happening in regulatory sector and how it's having an impact on some of the aspects pertaining to Indian business. Thank you.
Participants, if you have any questions, you can ask them.
Ma'am, very wonderful session, ma'am. We have learned many things regarding securities, mutual funds, and banking and other things, ma'am. You have mentioned the Banking Regulations Act Amendment Bill 2020, ma'am. What is the main objective of that bill, ma'am?
The main thing is they want to bring in more transparency into the system and try to ensure that it is more technology based. I think the focus more is on the technology based processes so that it will, and also take into consideration it's provide a platform for including all those digital payments and other things also. So keeping that in mind, they probably come up with these set of things. I think that itself we can discuss and separately in the full session. And I'm just giving you the overall focus.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. We are having banking and insurance paper, ma'am. We will call you to take things for this Banking Regulations Act regarding things. So the merger of the bank, impact of merger of banks and other things. We need the clarifications from you, ma'am.
So because of this monitoring has been happening, we find that they have identified and then now they have merged all the banks also. And actually we are moving towards the universal banking system. Only when having too many small banks, I want to have a universal banking system. And I think the merger has also been effective also. You see, overall after the merger also we find that the banks are doing well. That synergy is also coming up. So the regulatory changes are enabling this type of efficiency, banking efficiency.
Good afternoon, ma'am. It's a very wonderful presentation which is given by you. It's a really as a teacher fraternity, enjoyed the session very well. After long back, we got a lot of input related to current scenario and financial market and other related things, ma'am. And thank you very much, ma'am, for giving a wonderful talk. On behalf of our KPR Cats, we are record our gratitude to you, ma'am. Once things comes normal, please visit our college and give your expertise to our teacher fraternity and students also, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am, for your wonderful presentation.
Now I would request Dr. J. Samuel, sir, to introduce Dr. Bhavana Jain. Good afternoon, Bhavana.
Good afternoon.
Yes, ma'am. On behalf of KPR School of Commerce, we welcome you, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Shall we start our session now?
Yes, we can start.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
Now I would request Dr. J. Samuel, sir, to introduce Dr. Bhavana Jain, ma'am.
It is my ecstasy to bring into the limelight Professor Dr. Bhavana Jain, the beacon of financial analysis, as the resource person of the session 3 of the conclave with the theme Tools and Strategies for Emerging Business. Financial Analysis Beyond Ratios. The School of Commerce fulfills the dream of KPR College of Arts and Science and Research of learning beyond. This light shines first on her profession. She shares her knowledge as Amritam to the students serving as the assistant professor, a professor of Amrita School of Business, Coimbatore, for more than 2 decades. The focal point of light shifts to her qualification and tenure in various organizations. She was conferred with BCom honors from the renowned Delhi University. She pumped in more vital fluid to the blood vessels to enhance her efforts and energy. It reaped its fruits by crowning her as the Chartered Accountant from the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India and CPA from American Institute of Certified Public Accountants, USA. 8 years of rich industrial experience involving 4 years of practice of chartered accountancy, 2 years in private limited companies, and 2 years with the Cyber Media India Limited. Now the propagation and direction of the light turns and burnishes on her publications and presentations. It is evident from her publications that she is ardent and fervent about research. To shine a spotlight, I can explicitly point that she loves delving deep about capitals, and she has casted her nets into the deep and fished about capital contribution, the impact of working capital management on profitability. She has accomplished a Herculean task of comparative analysis between 2 industries, investment decisions of public and private manufacturing firms in India. No wonder Scopus found her research to be in the scope and gladly honored her by publishing her research work. She has presented many papers, prominent among them are on the topic of taxation, the willful defaults of corporate, CSR and tax avoidance. Her publication reflects her character of honesty, and she is trying to expose the injustice in the industry. It also shows that she is a daring woman by nature. I am glad to have an opportunity to bring this prominent personality in the highest frequency of visible spectrum. School of Commerce expresses its sincere gratitude to you, madam, for consenting to share your knowledge in this conclave. Over to the MOC desk.
Thank you, sir. Good, better, best. Never let it rest. Till your good is better and your better is best. Now I would like to invite Dr. Bhavana Jain ma'am to share some points about financial analysis beyond ratios. Kindly ma'am, the session is yours.
Thank you, professors, for that huge introduction, and I'll try to do justice. This is the final presentation for the day. The students may be tired, but I'll try to make it a little more interesting. Shall I share my screen now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. You can share your screen.
Okay. Is my screen visible to all in the presentation mode?
Yes, ma'am. Your presentation is visible, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you so much. A very good afternoon to all of you here, students, professors, and people who are organizing this conclave. Thank you very much for calling me here. Let me start it right away. I will be talking about financial analysis beyond ratios. I am told that most of you are commerce and BBA students and faculty. So you would have gone through ratio analysis in your coursework, and you know that there are so many different kinds of ratios, profitability, solvency, etc. So let us talk something beyond that today and see, something which is, I feel that it is pretty interesting, right? So why am I here? What am I going to talk about today? Let me just tell you about this right now. I'll be talking about financial analysis. All of you have already looked at financial analysis. We will again just introduce what it is. We'll look at earnings management, which is a really important topic for the last 1 decade at least. And we will look at one of the tools of predicting earnings management, and that is the Benish-M model. Okay, so now let us start it. What is financial analysis? So I think this is not an interactive session, is it? Can I ask questions?
Yes, ma'am, you can ask questions now.
Okay, so can somebody tell their opinion on what financial analysis is about? Any students? Okay, are they answering in chat or something?
No, ma'am. Our students, they're willing to ask.
Financial analysis of data.
Sorry?
Ma'am, it's a study of financial data.
It is study of financial data. Okay, thank you. Who is this?
Ma'am, Sariha.
Okay, thank you, Sareha. Yeah, financial analysis is study of financial data, yes, but we are going to, look at non-financial data also. Nowadays, it has become really important, right? So, what are we going to do? We'll talk about the data part later. Why do we do financial analysis? We do financial analysis because we want to look at the performance of an organization. We want to look at the stability, solvency, liquidity. I think these terms are not new to all of you, right? You are looking at the last year's performance, whether the organization is stable, whether it is in long-term solvent, short-term solvent, able to pay its dues in the short term and the long term, right? So this is the major reason why we go for financial analysis. And why do we do it? Now, if you are a manager of an organization, you need to take decisions on how to run the business. What are the next steps? So you need to know as to how I performed in the last years, in the past. So this is historical information we are talking about. You take the historical information and you apply some kind of analysis to that, and it helps you in taking decisions. If you are an investor, you would want to, know as to whether you should be investing in this business or in this project or not. Now, this can be your projections also, right? So the organization can be giving you projections or an historical data, and on the basis of both, the investor takes a decision. But you spoke about data, and it is not only financial data. Non-financial data is also very important. So financial data, you look at the gross profit ratio, for example, right? You see the ratio of gross profit to sales, it's going up or down. That is financial data. But suppose you are looking at your consumption of electricity. That is also important, right? So how many units of electricity are you consuming for every unit you have produced? So that is also a very important factor when you are trying to understand the efficiency of your production processes, right? So it is not only financial data, it is also non-financial data. So you have a go down, right? How effectively are you utilizing the go down? So that could be your inventory per, say, square feet area of that go down. So this is about the financial analysis. And now let us talk about earnings management. Anybody can throw some light on what you understand by earnings management?
What we earn, we can manage our.
Yeah, can you be a bit louder, please?
Managing cash inflows and outflows.
Managing cash inflows and outflows. So how do you manage that? Can you give an example?
By keeping a record.
Okay, that is accounting, right? You are accounting for your transactions. Record keeping is accounting. Okay, anybody else?
Whether to retain the earnings or distribute a part of the earnings. When you retain the earnings, we could further invest for expansion of the business or growth of the business.
Okay. No, that is not earnings management. Let me explain. All of you must have gone through a course in accounting, and you know that in India we have these principles of accounting, right? Heard of going concern, entity concept, all these kind of, revenue recognition. So there are principles, and the accounting standards are based on these principles, right? So if you, for example, you have the depreciation accounting, you would decide what should be the useful life of my asset, what method of depreciation I should be charging. It is the accountant or the manager who decide all that, right? It is not that there is a rule that if this is the asset, this should be the way you should depreciate it and things like that. That is not there, right? So we have principle-based accounting in our country, right? Based on the IFRS standards. So now this principle-based accounting gives us some judgment, right? We decide, the manager decides what way you are going to account for your accruals. There is a chance where you can use this judgment with an intention to mislead, right? So you want to reduce your depreciation expense, and what you do is you decide on this method of depreciation, which is going to, you change the method of depreciation. That is also allowed. You can do that and give a disclosure in the notes to accounts. Most of us don't even read those notes, right? So if there is an intention to mislead, like for any unjustified reason, you just want to cook up your books, you want to cook up the numbers, that is earnings management. Okay, so here you are not, you are following the principles of accounting. You are not kind of saying that you're not following, but because there is a judgment, you are misleading the users of your financial information, right? You're trying to influence their decisions, which is wrong, right? So that is what is earnings management. You have seen, you've heard of WorldCom, Satyam, and so many cases coming up nowadays, which are examples of earnings management, right? So you are cooking up your books, cooking up the numbers, you're smoothing your earnings. Those things are earnings management, right? You're trying to defraud, your users of financial statements and influence their decisions. All right. So the question is, how do we detect earnings management, right? So this is a very good picture which I got from 2017 paper of Gerard. And here what they are talking about is not one method will be good. So you should be using several methods in order to detect earnings management. So they are talking of mathematical models, they are talking of manual methods, these are the traditional methods, and the machine learning layer, right? So now these traditional methods are your ratio analysis, the auditors, they draw a checklist, they questionnaires, they take sample data and do analysis on that, right? So you can look at the trend analysis, ratio analysis, and then see whether it is reasonable or not, whether there is any chance of manipulations here. So these all methods are there. But in addition to this, you also have these mathematical models where you have the accruals model of Dichow and Dichev have come up with the detection of earnings management through accruals. So they have a formula for that. And then this is a more recent author, his name is Pustilnik, and he has a 2017 paper where he talks about components of DuPont analysis. He uses those accounting figures and explains how you can detect earnings management. But today we are going to talk of a very old model, the Benish model, and we will look at its components in detail today, right? So this is just to tell you that this is not the only method. You have Altman Z-score and many other models, mathematical models, which help you in detecting earnings management. And this is the new area for software engineers, those who are good in IT. So you have these neural networks, you have these decision trees, and these are some Bayesian classifiers and all, which is not my area. And you put all of these together, the EMD stands for earnings management detection. And then you take a decision, you decide whether there is earnings management or not. So it is not just, if I'm going to look at the Benish model, and if the Benish model gives you an indication, that is only an indication, that's a probability, right? So it is not that definitely there is earnings management, but it is an indicator for all of us. Okay. So now I'll move on to the Benish model. And I'll take your questions at the end of this presentation. So now, why do we have the Benish model, right? Why are we talking about it? So we are talking about it because many people, many reputed people talk about Benish model. So we are also talking about it. So you have World Bank. World Bank uses Benish model. So you are saying, okay, I'll also use it. Then you have the Association of Fraud. These people come, ACFE, they come up with this fraud magazine, and they are pretty reputed, and they suggest that we should be using the Benish model, right? So I have taken this picture from the internet, and this talks about 2005 issue, but of course this issue comes every year, so you will get a 2020 issue also. So you can read the ACFE fraud report to see, if you are interested in earnings management and frauds, and you can read this report which talks about frauds in organizations, private organizations. Okay, and Benish model has a success rate. You may say, oh, 50% is not a high, but it is high. Okay, 50% is higher than your sampling, than your random tests and stratified random testing. It is a pretty high rate, and it is good enough to take your next steps. Benish model is also taught at large universities of the US, and we also teach it here, and it is used by analysts of good reputation, right? So it is a very popular model for people who are, even for investors, for auditors, and those who are interested in investing in organizations. They do run the Spanish model. Okay, so let us see what it contains. No. Now, Spanish model gives you a score. So there is a formula, and at the end of the formula, you get a score, which is known as Spanish M score. M is the first name or maybe the last name, Masood Benish Masood score. And it has 8 components in total. The first one being days sales in receivables index. So you are looking at your sales and receivables. So it is a ratio of sales and receivables. So how are they connected? Is it going up or is it going down? That gives you an indicator. You look at your gross margin. Gross margin means your ratio of gross profit to sales. We'll look at all of these individually in the next slide. Just let's get a picture of the whole thing. Then you have the asset quality index. Okay, so you have your fixed assets, you have your other non-current assets, and you have current assets, right? All of these. And what is the quality of your assets? Then growth of sales, sales growth index. And you have depreciation index. So I spoke about the way you can use depreciation to manipulate earnings. So depreciation index is very much there. And then you have the general expenses, the expenses that you incur in bringing your sales, so your sales promotion expenses, your administrative expenses, all these. Also, if you have seen profit and loss statements, you will see that there are so many things, and then you have other expenses, right? So they are also important. You can, fit in some things there, and people will not get to know, but now people are looking for it. And then leverage. Leverage is your loans, right? Your debt to equity, right? Or debt to total assets in this case. So how leveraged is your firm? Okay. And then you have total accruals to total assets. So most of the judgment goes into this accruals. The judgment that you take when you are accounting, you have these total accruals. So what is happening to this ratio? Okay, so let us look at these one after the other. So we'll start with the first one, which is the DSRI index. Okay, let me move the screen. Yeah. So you have this DSRI. So what is that? That is your days sales receivable index. Okay, and what is it telling you? Current year receivables divided by current year sales. Okay, so that is number of days receivables divided by the previous year ratio, right? So when you are looking at this, when you increase the sales, your collections should also increase, right? And your days outstanding should not be increasing drastically. That means you're increasing the sales, but you're not going to get the cash in return, right? So if you are actually fraudulently increasing your sales, you will never get the money back, right? If you don't have the actual receivables there. It is just, sham. It's a kind of phony receivables there, right? So you're not going to get it back. And if you see that the receivables are rising and they are very high compared to the sales, increase in sales, then if this ratio is high, there could be a red flag there. So the next one is our gross margin index, where you look at the gross profit ratio, and this is compared by previous year and current year again. You can see that the previous year figure is on top and the current year figure is at the bottom. So if your gross profits are decreasing as a percentage of sales, but you see that the other profit, the net profit is increasing, then of course there could be a red flag, right? While the ratio of gross profit is decreasing, but still you are getting profits. So then that will be an issue, right? So if this ratio goes up, then again there is a issue there, right? Because you are trying to manipulate your bottom line, the net profit, and whereas your gross profit is going down. So in this case, if you are pumping up the gross profit itself, then you will not be able to catch this ratio, but then you'll have the receivables, the DSRI ratio, to give you an indication, right? So the next is the asset quality index. So here the assets, now this may be looking a little complicated, but this refers to the non-current assets other than your fixed assets in the balance sheet. So the other non-current assets as a ratio of total assets, if they are increasing in the current year, then what are these other non-current assets? They could be your intangible assets. They could be the deferred assets, right? So when these are increasing, that means what you are doing, you are postponing recognition of expenses. So instead of putting an expense in the profit and loss statement, what you are doing is you are putting an asset in your balance sheet, right? So this is what Enron also did, right? Enron capitalized its expenses. So instead of showing an expenditure, it went on to show it as, because both are debits, right? So you went on to show it as an asset, and that they kept on doing it for a long period of time, and people were not able to identify that, right? So now we have this index to help us identify these kind of manipulations. Okay, so this increases your profit because less expenses are there in your profit and loss statement. So the next one which we have here is your very simple sales growth. Now this, I do not mean to say that if your sales are growing by a large amount, then that means that you are manipulating. But take the example, again I tell you the example of Enron. In the year 2000, Enron showed a total sales of $100 billion US, right? So now this number doesn't mean anything, right? But when you compare it with previous year sales, and if I say that previous year the sales were $40 billion, then you will say, wow, that is a big jump, right? So that is kind of more than double the growth in sales. So then that may be a red flag for you, right? The next one is the depreciation index. So you look at the depreciation rate of previous year, compare it with the current year. So if the rate of the rate of depreciation in current year goes down, that means this ratio is going up, then there is a red flag, right? So what you may be doing, you will say, okay, I will increase the useful life of my assets, right? So when you increase the useful life, the depreciation you charge for every year goes down, right? So when this happens, the rate of depreciation on the total assets goes down, and you charge less to your income statement, you charge less to your profit and loss statement, and your assets are shown at a higher amount, right? So this is one of the ways people use to kind of manipulate their earnings. Okay, so now the next one is our selling, general and administrative index, right? So this is about the selling, general and administrative expenses that we have. So now all the sales and promotion expenses, generally people go and boost those expenses, right? So you are boosting your expenses, but now if you look at this as a percentage of sales in current year. Now, in order to earn sales, suppose you are boosting your sales, you don't have to incur any expense. You're just pumping it up, right? Which is manipulation. You are just manipulating your sales. These are not actual sales. So the expenses are not rising there for you, right? And when you see that in the current year, the ratio of expenses to sales is lower than the previous year ratio, then it is bad, right? So you are manipulating your sales. That could be an indicator because you are not putting in efforts for sales. Now there could be several reasons for this, which could be genuine reasons for all of these. These are just indicators, and what we are doing is we are looking at each one of these components and clubbing them together at the end to understand, to get one score, right? But if you look at each of these components individually, you may not get the real picture there, because there could be genuine reasons. I did not have these expenses because my product, I had an innovation, and because of that I was able to sell more, so I need not have to incur more expense for that, right? Similarly, there could be genuine reasons why the rate of depreciation is falling down, or why the sales is growing, or why you have these other variables, components, which are indicating for a red flag, but there actually may not be a manipulation there, right? So then let us look at the next component, which is leverage. So leverage is, now here it is the debt to assets, and you look at the current year leverage and compare it with the previous year's debt to assets. And now why is leverage so important? Like, why do we say that if the leverage is more, then you may have kind of manipulation? Now, if I have more debt, that doesn't mean that I am manipulating. So I don't have the money. People don't give me money, so I go and take loans, right? People don't buy my shares, I go and take loans, right? Now, why this could be so is because when you are going for a loan, you have to give financial statements, past and projected, right? So when you are giving those financial statements, you may manipulate them in order to get more loans, right? So there is a chance that if you are highly leveraged, you are manipulating your financial statements, because you have to show higher profits to the lender. Also, when you already have loans, you enter into loan agreements, and under the loan agreements, there are certain conditions to be fulfilled. For example, you can say that your current ratio should not fall below this number, that your return on investment may not fall below this number. Like, you may have debt covenants, right? So conditions which are there in the loan agreements. So because you have to fulfill those covenants, because you have to show a particular return on investment, you may end up manipulating earnings. But this also applies in general for shareholders also, because most of the companies that are listed also, they give projections, okay? They give projected earnings, and analysts are also there. They also forecast the earnings of companies. And there is a pressure on the company to show better numbers so that there is no free fall of the market price of the shares, right? So while it is very important for a company which has a lot of debts, at the same time, this also applies to companies, especially the listed companies, because they have a pressure from the shareholders or the investors to show good numbers, that pressure comes because of the forecast, analyst forecast, and they forecast that we will grow at this rate next year, right? Infosys forecast, you must have read in newspapers, Infosys forecasted this much, but it has achieved this much, or it beats the forecast, things like that, right? So it applies to both your debt and equity. However, it applies more on debt. All right, so this is the last component, total assets, total accruals, right? Total accruals to total assets. And here you are looking at the movement of your balance sheet items and income statement items from previous year to current year, right? So I am not writing here previous year or current year. What I'm looking at is the change, right? So what was the change in current assets, change in current liabilities? So you have this working capital there, right? So what is working capital? Working capital is your current assets minus current liabilities, right? So this we are looking at, change here, and then we are looking at how the cash has changed and how the depreciation, during the year. So this is not change here, you are reducing the depreciation here. Okay, so so you are looking at cash here and accruals. Now, why are we looking at, if you people have in any time prepared the cash flow statement, you will see that when you are using the indirect method, you have change in increase or decrease in working capital coming there in the cash flow from operating activities. Now, what are these? Now, what do you have in current assets? What do you have in current liabilities? You have your debtors here, right? You have your creditors here. So why do they arise? They arise because you are not selling for cash. You are selling on credit. You are purchasing on credit, right? So these kind of things, you may have several other points here. Okay, so these are arising because of accrual, right? That is why we call this as total accruals, right? So what is the change in the accruals? Now, if you are boosting your sales, then this will go up, right? And if this goes up, then total accruals are going to go up. And out of that, you would have some debtors, creditors, etc. in the previous year. And then you have some of them in the current year, and you reduce them, you find the change in them. And you also see what is the change in cash, right? So what is the collections happening? So you see that, okay, so if this is the collection which is happening, then so what you are doing, and you are also reducing the depreciation. Depreciation is a non-cash item, right? If you remember, you always add it back to the net profit when you are preparing your cash flow statement, right? So you are seeing that this is the movement of accruals from this period to that period, and you divide it by total assets, right? So if there is a higher accrual and there is a fall in cash, then there could be a chance that the statements are manipulated, right? So if there are higher accruals and there are lower, the cash has gone down, then as a proportion to total assets. So change in working capital and depreciation is accrual, and you reduce the cash there, then you have red flag there. So if this goes up, then you have a problem there. Okay. So now we have looked at all of these. Let us kind of revise it and then look at the score. So this is the days outstanding. So if this goes up, then there could be an issue because your receivables are going up much higher percentage than your percentage increase in sales. If gross profit is decreasing, then there could be an issue. If the other non-current assets are increasing, there could be an issue there, right? Then if the sales are increasing manifold, there could be an issue. If the depreciation is coming down, and this index will tell you as a proportion to the previous year, then there will be an issue. And then your expenses that you incur to get the sales, your indirect expenses, if they are coming down, there could be an issue. And then you have these leverage index, higher leverage. There is a chance that you will be manipulating in order to sustain your debts. Total accruals are increasing a lot, and cash is decreasing, then there could be a issue. Now, looking at all of these 8 components, Mr. Benish has arrived at the M score, right? So this is the score here. It's a formula, so you will see that against each of these components, there is a number there. So what Mr. Benish did was he studied a lot of companies that were that had manipulation and a lot of companies that did not have manipulation, and then he arrived at this this kind of let me erase this for you so that it's very visible. Yeah. So now look at, let us look at each one by one. So this is days receivable, right? If the number of days outstanding, if the days receivable is increasing, I said that, so you can see there is a positive sign here, right? So there is a red flag. Gross profit, now here the current year was a denominator, so therefore if the indicator increases but the gross profit of current year goes down, then there is a positive sign, right? Asset quality index, there is a positive sign. Sales growth increases, there is a positive sign. Depreciation, now here again the current year was the denominator, so there is a positive. Expenses go down, so there is a negative. Here, total accruals go up, there is a positive. Leverage is again a negative, right? Now, okay, we put in this formula, we compute all the components, we put in this formula, and then we get a number. Now, what do we do with that number? How do we decide whether this number is indicating manipulation or not? So, Mr. Benish has given us that rate, that if the score is more than minus 2.22, right? That means it is less negative. There is a strong likelihood of manipulation. So if it is minus 2, then there is a manipulation. If it is minus 3, then it is not, right? You understand? You know the number line, right? So the number line, as you go this side, then it becomes minus 2. So what is more than minus 2.22? Minus 2 is greater than minus 2.22. So don't get confused by this. Remember, this is a negative number. So if it is minus 3, it is a non-manipulator. But if it is minus 2, it is a manipulator. All right. So let us look at one example here. This is Benish, these numbers are derived by Mr. Benish in his study. And this, of all the non-manipulating companies, these were the mean numbers for each components. And of all the manipulating companies, these were the mean numbers of manipulating companies, right? For all of these components. And let us compare these numbers with the Enron numbers. Okay, so we have, I told you that there was an asset quality issue with Enron. What they were doing was they were capitalizing their expenses, right? And very much, if you look at this number, it is much higher than the mean of the manipulators itself, right? So it was doing it much more than what others have been doing, right? And this is also an indicator of red flag. The sales were increasing. I told you, they increased their sales from 40 to 100, right? So this was also a problem. Their gross profits were going down, but the total profits were going up. So these were the three ways in which Enron was trying to manipulate its numbers. So this is not, I mean, it is more than the mean of non-manipulators, but it is less than the mean of manipulators, right? But this is okay. There is no issues with the other expenses here. And this is again kind of, more than the mean of non-manipulators, but lower than the mean of manipulators. And its M-score was 7.80. Imagine the number given by Benish is minus 2.22. And this is much, much higher. So if somebody had run this Benish model on Enron financial statements much before, then this kind of losses to investors would not have happened. And let us look at the case of Satyam. In Satyam, we see that the sales growth was, everyone was giving awards to Satyam, best corporate governance, best company and all that. It had issues with the sales growth and total accruals. And its M-score was also pretty high, 7.41. All right, so I can take your questions now. I'm done with your.
Participants, if you have any questions, you can ask now. Or you can post in chat box.
Oh, actually, I cannot hear you. Can you be a bit louder, please?
Yes, ma'am. If anyone want to be a financial analyst, what type of programs are available, ma'am? Can you suggest, ma'am, for our students?
Yes. Actually, there are several programs, and if you are more interested in the stock market side, you have courses from NSC, and there are some investment firms which also run courses on financial analysis. And I think most of them prefer to MBAs, so you should be doing MBA and do these certification courses in order to become a financial analyst.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for your great presentation, ma'am. We gain more knowledge about financial analysis through ratio, and it will be useful for our career like job or post-graduation, ma'am. Really, we had a good session, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
The root of all goodness is in the soil of appreciation. With this quote, I invite Dr. B. Kannamai, ma'am, Professor, School of Commerce, to propose vote of thanks.
Morning is gone, evening is going to come, but live what you want in present. Delicious afternoon to all. On behalf of our management, I will begin my vote of thanks with the Ian Thiruvalluvar saying, Vari Periki, Palam Paduthu, Utravai, Araivan, Seja Vinay. Meaning, let him do the work who can enlarge the sources of revenues, increase wealth, and considerately prevent the losses. Esteemed Principal, Dr. S. Balaswamy Sir, illustrious Dean, Dr. K. Kunda Devi Ma'am, our most valued invited guests, Mr. Andy Nalapan sir, Vice President, Chief Technology Officer, and Head of Software Business Operations, Broadcom Software, the University of Texas at El Paso, San Jose, California, United States. Dr. M. Thenmozhi ma'am, Professor in Finance, Department of Management Studies, IIT Madras, Chennai. Dr. Bhavna Jain ma'am, Assistant Professor, Amrita School of Business, Amrita Vishwavidyapeetham, Coimbatore. Dean and head of the departments, in charge of the departments, Dr. P. Sorubarani, ma'am, Associate Professor, and in charge of BCom Business Analytics, all faculty colleagues and non-teaching staff members, and my sweetest students. It's my privilege to have been asked to propose a vote of thanks on this occasion. I, Dr. B. Kandamai, Associate Professor, School of Commerce, on behalf of the entire KPR College of Arts, Science and Research, Arasur, Coimbatore fraternity, extend a very hearty vote of thanks to the speakers for gracing today's event and sharing with us their valuable knowledge today. A big thank you to Mr. Andy Nalapan sir for his inspiring speech on key characteristics of a successful business and career. And we like to express thanks to Dr. M. Thenmozhi ma'am for giving an excellent review on recent government regulations affecting business. I am also very grateful to Dr. Bhavna Jain ma'am for sharing her knowledge on financial analysis beyond ratios. Students from KPR CAS and more than 700 students, research scholars, faculty, friends participating from other colleges will build their confidence and develop their business, career, and financial skills. We are all inspired by your great words. I also extend my heartfelt gratitude to our colleagues from the media and public relations. Thanks to all of you for being with us this day. It's been a great pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Every national anthem is so melodious. Yet, the most touching one ends with Jai. Let us all rise for national anthem.
जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मांगे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे
So we thank all the participants. We have shared the feedback form. Kindly fill for your certifications. I repeat, we have posted the feedback form. Feedback link, kindly fill it and make use of the certification. Thank you. Thank you.